हो गया live, I think.
Yeah, yes, sir.
भारत सर लाइव हो गया है, ठीक है। और जैसे ही प्रोग्राम स्टार्ट होता है मैं रिकॉर्डिंग ऑन कर दूंगा सर।
ठीक है, थैंक यू गौरव।
ओके सर।
सर इस बार पार्ट को कोर्स बना दीजिए।
I think गौरव मीटिंग में है। आकाश कॉल कर लो।
यस सर। और कैन वी स्टार्ट?
Yes.
Sure, भैया. Am I audible?
यस सर। या
ठीक है. A very good evening to each one of you present here. It's a matter of great honor for me to host you all. I, Parth Kaushik, on behalf of Sambhavam, Society for UPSC CSC Preparation, welcomes you all on this second day of 2 days flagship event, Impetus. Impetus is a 2-day flagship event of which the objective is to offer a platform to young students for interaction with civil professionals, successful bureaucrats, seasoned mentors, and prominent personalities. But before moving ahead, I would like to brief you about Sambhavam. Sambhavam, Society for UPSC CSC Preparation of Shamlal College, University of Delhi, which was established last year. As a student-driven body, Sambhavam intends to inculcate the best guidance and knowledge among young aspirants by providing them with a conducive learning ecosystem and a comprehensive roadmap that helps them. We try to transform their preparation into a realizing journey along with integrating and providing an overview of civil services examination. I would like to introduce you all to our first speaker of today's session, who is not just only an IFS officer, but a multi-talented personality. He is the founder of India's first ever community reserve at Keshavpur, which is in Punjab. He also published 40 scientific research papers at national and international conferences, seminars, and workshops. Not stopping here, he is also a motivational speaker and author of the self-help book Impossible Says It Is Possible. Yes, you were right. He is none other than D. Rajasekhar sir. I would like to invite our convener Bharat sir for further processing.
Welcome, sir, and thank you very much for giving your consent to join us despite your very busy schedule. Without taking much time, I'll directly invite you to talk because your time is very precious and what you say will be very, very precious, more important than what I say. So I'll directly invite you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, one and all. Hope I am audible to every one of you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm a little outside today. I'm in the field, so I would like to take this opportunity to thank every one of you who have given me an opportunity to speak amongst the youngsters who are into the preparation of the civil services examinations. So the first and foremost objective is, why do you choose your career as civil services? So that particular first question, you need to answer yourself. So no one civil services as a career or as a job or as a profession, whatever you say. Because once you choose this particular career, you are going to serve not less than 30 years if you join. So my advice, my suggestion would be to start young. To catch young is the mantra. So in civil services also, to start young is the mantra. So whenever you try or attempt or want to win or succeed in civil services, please do start early. Because this is the first mantra I just wanted to give you. Until unless you have a 30 years experience in your own civil services career, you cannot become the top of a state or the union. That is the topmost post. So any particular services, either you choose an IAS or IPS or Indian Forest Services, or for that matter, any other services also, if you have 30 years of service, then alone you can reach the top. That is the pinnacle of the department. Say in IAS, it is famously called, say, Chief Secretary, or in the Union of India, it is the Cabinet Secretary. In the Forest Services, it is equivalent term is the Principal Chief Conservator of Forests, who is the head of the Forest Force. In case of the Indian Police Services, the state's Director General of Police. So you need to have 30 years of minimum services to reach that particular level. So my mantra or my advice would be to start young and to get into selection before say 24 or 25. So I joined the services little early. So in the same ages as I have stated. So presently I have crossed at least say 24 years of service and eight years to go. Definitely we will have a chances to reach the pinnacle or the topmost positions. So now let's talk what the Indian Forest Services offer to you, and then whatever it offers, whether you are ready to take or you are ready to relish the services or the job, it entirely depends upon your own attitude. So in case of Indian Forest Services exam, it is a specialized exam. As you are aware, so UPSC has a preliminary exam and mains exam. And in case of Indian Forest Services, the mains are different. Because only the science and engineering graduates can appear into the Indian Forest Services. This is the first criteria to get into selection into Indian Forest Services. The arts degree or the history, geography subjects which are eligible for the Indian administrative services or any other services is not eligible for the appearance in the Indian Forest Services exam mains. So the first criteria is that you need to have a science or an engineering degree to get into the selection into the Indian Forest Services examination in the mains. The second criteria or second difference we can say is the physical fitness aspects. Here in the Indian Forest Services exam, once you say qualify in the preliminary, mains and other things, say even interview, after that you have a walking test. That is an endurance test, we can say. You need to cross 25 kilometers of say walking in 4 hours for male and 14 kilometers in 4 hours for women or female candidates. So this particular physical test is incorporated in Indian Forest Services. That is again a qualification that requires you need to clear that also. After your prelim, mains, interview, medical board and other fitnesses, this particular physical fitness test is still in vogue in Indian Forest Service. Even it is not there in Indian Police Service, but it is still practiced in Indian Forest Services. Why at all we need to have this particular walking test is that it is not only the test of endurance or test of physical ability, but also your mental ability. Before you join the services, you are basically tested whether you are really fit into the service and whether you can cope up with the pressures, say the working pressures or the need of the job, and all those things are being basically the entire personality plus your physical fitness is tested. This is the only service where your physical fitness is tested before even joining your service. Otherwise, in Indian Police Service and all, you can definitely build your say physical stamina and other capabilities during your training. But in case of Indian Forest Services, you need to qualify this. So that is the first difference between the other services and Indian Forest Service. The second difference we can say, first difference I have told you the subjects. The third one, the training part. The training is in case of Indian Forest Services, it offers a very a huge and a variety of adventurous and very interesting training parts. Not only the classrooms, but at least out of 2 years, you will be spending at least a minimum of 6 months outside the classrooms. So our training is conducted in Indira Gandhi National Forest Academy in Dehradun. Otherwise, the classroom is mostly outside because we are always on the field tours. We are into the jungles. We go a lot of trekkings. We do a lot of physical and the forestry exercises outside the classroom. So that is another major interesting part. In fact, you need to experience that basically. Once you get into the service, once you start the training, you will realize that it is more of a very interesting and exciting, we can say. It's not just like a classroom training. And you will be surprised, till date, the Indian Forest Services officers or the trainees or probationers, we can say, are not only trained in the forestry and allied subjects, but they are given weapon training. Weapon training by not less than the Indian Military Academy, Dehradun. So weapon training means you will be given a complete capsulized course to handle all the weapons, right from AK, the rifles or pistols or revolvers up to the rank of say rocket launchers. Maybe we may not be using, but definitely you will be given a hands-on training in weapon handling by the military academy, and also horse riding and swimming and so many other exciting things. In fact, I just wanted to give you a little interesting and excitement to you so that you get motivated basically towards the service. So nothing to be afraid of, but it's really interesting. So that way you will be given a lot of training, and the physical exercise, the physical training starts at 5:30 in the morning. It's like a military, more of a military training. We are basically groomed in the academy in a very disciplined way. That particular discipline, in case if we inculcate in our training, imbibe in our training, we utilize it for the rest of our life, rest of our career. So at least I enjoyed my training days, and I was very fit, and I am still fit completely, despite putting off say 24 years of service. So that particular aspect, everything actually depends upon your own attitude and the reception capacity. So how do you enjoy your training? It depends upon you. If you think that it is a very cumbersome or very tiresome, then yes, maybe. Because 5:30 getting up every day, even in winters or rains, whatever it is, the parade happens in the morning. So 5:30 a.m. in the Dehradun during winter months, you can see during winter also, whether it rains or not, you need to shave and you need to get ready for the physical training, PT, we say. That is the most the most say little during the training days. Maybe you may feel that it is a very difficult part, but of course you will enjoy over a period of time. Now coming to the department as such, the forest department, how it works or how it functions. I really don't want to go into the, say, preparation for the examinations, because I think there will be lot many more mentors available, and advices would have been given to you. So I leave this topic of preparation, especially preparation topics, to the others, because I am not really very competent enough to speak about the preparation part. Of course, I can give you a lot of strategies, because I am also mentoring the civil services aspirants. But I'll broadly touch upon the, say, life of forest official. That is what is the topic given to me. So I would try my level best to take you into an interesting areas of, say, the life of a forest officer. So the traditionally the forest department, right from the days of British, it's like an uniformed service and a very disciplined, and it's like more or like an army services type. We have the uniforms up to the range of up to the level of, say, range officers. The IFS officers, after passing out from the academy, will be posted as assistant conservator of forest, who is supposed to be the just next to the DFO. DFO is district forest officer or divisional forest officer, you can say, who is equivalent to the DM or DC, district collector or district magistrate in the district. So, and also the SP or SSP, whatever you say. So the district forest officer will be assisted by an assistant conservator of forest. So ACF, we say. That is the first level of subordination. Just below the ACF, you will have a range officers. We say range, forest range. So we will have in one district, just like a subdivision. In forest department, we have ranges. Just like a subdivision in the administrative subdivisions, we have ranges. The ranges are manned by range officers who are equivalent to the, says, the inspectors of police, because the range officers wear 3 stars on their shoulders, 3-star officers who are gazetted in some states and maybe non-gazetted in some other states. So the range officers are assisted by, say, deputy range officers who are 2-star, and maybe in some states they are called foresters also. The foresters are sub-inspector rank officers. So the foresters are assisted by forest guards. Forest guards is the lowest entry level in the forest department. Say, for example, constable rank, constabulary. So forest rank, foresters, deputy rangers, range officer, assistant conservator of forest, then district forest officer. This is the district level administration. You have a platoon, basically. You have an administration, you have a job of administration and the field job. As a district forest officer, basically after crossing the training of 2 years and then spending 1 year in the state and another waiting for 1 year for being an ACF, you will be given on successful completion of, say, training and the state language and the state level examinations. Say we have a state level examination. Of course, you should be knowing the Indian Forest Services office, Indian Forest Services also being an all India service, just like IAS, IPS, we are allotted to a particular state, right? We are allotted to a particular state that is called our cadre state. So I belong to, say, native of Tamil Nadu, but I belong to Punjab cadre. So till my completion of my, say, retirement or my entire services, I'll be serving in Punjab, state of Punjab. So that is your cadre controlling state. So what you need to know is the state language. That is the first and foremost criteria. And you need to qualify and pass an exam to the level of, say, metric standards in the state language. So now I know Punjabi, Hindi, other than English and my own the mother tongue, Tamil. So Punjabi is compulsory. During your training itself, whenever you are allotted a cadre, in case if you don't know that particular language, state language, you will be given training for that. You will be trained right from Masuri days in the foundation course onwards till your specialized training in your own academies. like IFS in Indira Gandhi National Forest Academy in Dehradun, or NPA, National Police Academy, Sardar Vallabhai Patel National Police Academy in Hyderabad, or in so Indian language alone works. In our, for example, in our Punjab, so entire filing system, entire correspondences top down below, from the level of PCCF to the level of forest guard, it has to be only in Punjabi. So the script is completely different. So Gurmukhi script I have to learn. So I had learned already. So that way, once you qualify all these things, and also state level examination, administrative examinations, there will be some. And once you qualify all these things, you will be posted as district forest officer in your 4th year. So usually it happens in 4th year after joining. So I joined in 1998 Indian Forest Services, but fortunately I joined as a DFO in 3 years itself, because there was some lack of officers. So that way, you 3 to 4 years, you will become a district forest officer. That means it is an independent job for you. So just above you, what is the hierarchy now? Let us see the hierarchy. This is the district level, what I have been speaking. So after you, after say district forest officer, you will be having some hierarchy officials. I will just tell the equivalent in police service and the forest service. Just above you, you will be serving, yes, district forest officer. Once you join, you will be serving as district forest officer till your 13th year. 13th year, 13 years. That means 3 years training and 10 years almost you will be spending in districts, various districts, as a district forest officer in various jobs. I'll be explaining a little bit later. And after 14th year, case of forest, it is called the first promotion. The first promotion in hierarchy is called conservator of forest. Conservator of forest is equivalent to DIG of police, Deputy Inspector General of Police. So in 14th year, you will be getting this conservator, and next promotion would be on 18th year. 18th year. 18th year, you would be promoted as Chief Conservator of Forest. So Chief Conservator is equivalent to your Inspector General of Forest, IG Police. We do have a IG in Government of India in Forest also. So it is just IG, Inspector General. That is equivalent term is Chief Conservator of Forest. And after that, 18th to 25th year, you will be promoted as Additional Principal Chief Conservator of Forest. Additional Principal Chief Conservator of Forest, which is equivalent to ADGP, Additional Director General of Police in Police Department. And after 28th year, you are eligible, not to be promoted, but you are eligible to become a PCCF, who is equivalent to DGP. And in case, sometimes it happens, it so happens in every state almost, you need to wait till 30th year. That is why my first point I have given you is, you need to have a 30 years of service. In case if you want to, if you are aspiring to become a chief in your own state, you need to have minimum 30 years of service. For example, Chief Secretary or DGP or PCCF, mostly you will be getting in 30th year because of the top heavy. Basically, the entire administration is little top heavy. So that way, 30th year you will be getting that. That is the head of the forest department in a state. Similar postings are available in Government of India. So now I have talked about only in the state level. Similarly, just after becoming a DFO, you can go on deputations. Deputations as well. Deputation to Government of India, deputation to various boards, corporations, various organizations, national, international organizations, everywhere. You can try your luck anywhere. For example, if you are really very academic in nature, I mean, if you are really interested in academics, then you can you always choose your career in teaching. Teaching in where? Indira Gandhi National Forest Academy, your own alma mater, where you were trained. The entire officers, the forest probationers are trained by IFS officers only there. So, like that, you have a variety of jobs, variety of opportunities, and variety of challenges. It depends if you are going to particular deputations. Now, let me just come back to your district level postings. You will be having, you would be experiencing. Again, depends upon the state. Say, for example, a very good, rich forested state like Madhya Pradesh, you will have a plenty of opportunities. Say Uttarakhand or Madhya Pradesh, you will have plenty of opportunities to serve either in territorial divisions, that is traditional forest divisions, or in wildlife protected areas like national parks or sanctuaries, or maybe community reserves and conservation reserves, or project tiger areas, project elephant areas, something like that. So you may choose your career either in territorial forest circle or even in wildlife circle. Depends upon your interest plus area of specialization. You can do specialized studies also. The Wildlife Institute of India in Dehradun offers certain courses to do a diploma or a degree in wildlife management. So if you are really interested into wildlife, say you are excited about wildlife, you can definitely become a specialist in wildlife. As during my introduction, the people said, I was the founder of India's first community reserve. Punjab, as such, you can see, it's a forest deprived state. We have very less forest, right? We have hardly 4% left, whereas India is having more than 25% today, 22, 23, 24, 25% approximately. So 80 million hectare roughly, 76 million hectare, but say 1/3 of area we are the forest officers are controlling. So that way, the forest officers are really proud that we are custodians of natural wealth. Natural wealth, we are the custodians and we are the landholders. We are the major chunk of landholders in India. Not the district administration, not the police, but the forest officers are having a great responsibility, not only to manage and administer, but also being a custodian of this much forest areas. 80 million hectare means 1/3 of our geographical area, right? 326 or 28, that is a million hectares in India. So almost roughly the 80 million hectare is with the forest officers. You are owner, basically. You are owner and custodian. You have a great onus of responsibility to conserve, protect, administer, manage, everything you have to do as a forest officer. Then you have the challenges. So there are plenty of challenges. So usually, the forest officers are usually termed by the, say, the political setup or the bureaucratic setup, that they are basically anti-development agents, you can say. Because whenever the forest officers, basically the forest officers have a clear-cut motto or the objective of the service. You are supposed to conserve. You are supposed to conserve and you are supposed to protect and conserve these natural resources. So being a custodian, you are doing scientific forest management and you are doing all the things for towards conservation. But at the same time, people will make a hue and cry because there are overriding, say, developmental objectives or developmental things, developmental priorities, say national priorities or local priorities. There would be a lot of pressures on you. So that way, you have same safeguards also. So the first and foremost, the greatest legislation in the entire history of forest administration happened in the year 1980 was the Forest Conservation Act. I hope all of you are listening and taking down small bits of notes. The keywords, right?
Yes,
The
sir.
Forest Conservation Act, which was enacted in 1980, is a watershed legislation in the forest administration, because that's a 2-page act, but it is most effective Of course, we do have Indian Forest Act, Indian Wildlife Protection Act, so many other things. But this Forest Conservation Act has given a real powers to the forest officers in conservation. In terms of why, how? In terms of development, of course, we do need development. I am not saying that we don't need development at all, because we are the developing country. We need a lot of national priorities. We do have a lot of local priorities. At the same time, even the Honorable Supreme Court, very in the latest judgment, has told very clearly the development cannot override the conservation, right? Because why? Why I am saying this? Because the entire world, the rest of the world, for example, other than India, is not that much biodiversity rich nations. I had been to various nations as a part of my curriculum or career, but at least I have not seen the greatest diversity which is present in India anywhere else. We have tropical, temperate, coastal, alpine, subalpine, all kinds of ecosystems in India. And we do have a lot of biodiversity. We are the one of the richest biodiversity nation. So that way, we have to have this biodiversity intact. Whatever is left out, we need to have. For example, some time ago, there were hue and cry that tiger population have dwindled, say 1700, 1700. But today it is around 3,500 or 4,000 or roughly 3,500. Say. So now 3,500 tigers, right? In the whole of the country. So many million hectares of area, whereas tiger number is in thousands. So just for example, if you are going to wipe out the entire tiger population, where will you see? Where will the future generation will see the tiger? In zoos or in textbooks? Zoo population is not stable. Zoo is an in situ, this ex situ conservation. That's for scientific conservation only. That is for just conservation, maybe breeding, little bit scientific research and other things. But if you are going to lose the tiger, where will you see, or where will the future generation see a tiger in natural ecosystem? You can see only in textbooks. Then, in future, you may see only in cartoons, in mobile phone, or in your textbooks. So why should I talk about tiger? What is the importance? Why at all? When there are so many 120, 130 crore population human being, why should I talk about this for 3,000 tigers? What is the importance? You may think definitely. Anyone can anybody guess why should at all we protect a tiger? What is the use? Is it only because of the aesthetics, or maybe for just for fun or for seeing? Is it so? No. The tiger population, the tiger occupies the pyramid, right? There is an ecological pyramid. Any science students, any science graduates will know the food. I'm sorry, I think there were some network issues or some disconnections happened. I hope I am back. I'm audible to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay. There were some disconnections because I'm just inside a forest area. So why do we protect a tiger? As I was just talking, when you protect a tiger on the top, on the pyramid, you are protecting the entire ecosystem down below, up to the grasses. The entire ecosystem or the community is happy and healthy and alive. When you eliminate a tiger, for example, on the top, then there are huge problems of overpopulation of herbivores, and then there is a destruction of ecosystem. I think most of the science graduates or the UPSC aspirants will know what is the importance of, say, conserving a tiger other than just watching. So I will leave it to this. So that way you have plenty of challenges I was just mentioning. And in case of districts, as I told, you have a variety of jobs. And in case of deputation jobs, now we will talk about. You have a very interesting jobs, say teaching in Indira Gandhi National Forest Academy or in state forest academies. And you do have a CBI like organization in forest, Central Bureau of Investigation. People are so very afraid and so many things. And the enforcement directorate today. So we do have such organization called Wildlife Crime Control Bureau. It's an international national organization, national body, but having a ramifications of international levels. So this particular Wildlife Crime Control Bureau centralized and so many other offices. So this particular Wildlife Crime Control Bureau is having an objective to deal with not only in national wildlife crimes, but also in international, across the border. So you do have a lot of exciting career opportunities in forest services. And coming to my pet topic, the last areas of topic before we open up for the questions. As a forest officer, you are supposed to move with the people, right? You are supposed to go closely and work closely with the local people. You need to fulfill the desires and ambitions and expectations of the local people. This is my key priority because I am one of the, I have a very interesting interest in myself that people's participation in each and every sphere of governance is my speciality. In fact, I love to do this joint forest management, community participation. The community reserve happened in India, the first community reserve, which we were talking about. It happened because of people's participation. So that did not have, which did not happen for the 50 years, last 50 years since say independence or whatever. 50 years, nothing happened. But in 2007, the India's first community reserve was declared by me or whatever. So not me, by my entire team. The entire team gets the credit. So the most important thing in the forest management or the forest administration is that you need to be a people's officer. So that is my first and foremost advice. You cannot just alienate from people. You cannot say that I am a so and so, I am a very big forest officer, so I will not be talking to people. No, no, no. Absolutely no. As any civil servant for that matter, say IAS or IPS or IFS or any civil servant, you need to talk to the people. But most importantly, in forest services, this is most required quality to become very successful. I'm telling you, it's a success mantra. Let me just put it in very crude or very raw manner to you. So, for example, in Punjab, I'm supposed to be an outsider, right? I don't belong to Punjab state. I belong to Tamil Nadu, but working in Punjab. But since I work with the Punjab people, the local communities who are really needed these forest resources, just along the Himachal border, I'm saying. The entire Punjab is not very rich in forest, but the areas adjoining to Himachal and Punjab is very rich in forest, very good forest. So where the people are also dependent. I have a local conversation. I sit with them. I spend a lot of time in solving their problems at their own doorsteps. So that way, I'm so proud to say that I'm really treated as a people's officer there in my state. So this particular success of community reserve also happened because of our own dialogue patterns. So we need to talk to the people continuously. So this is the last and final success mantra I just wanted to give you. Otherwise, the forest services, the life of forest officers are exciting, attractive, beautiful, lovely, and adventurous, whatever way you can take, basically. So I think I have just covered a bit of introduction and enough of little bit inputs. In case I will be inviting you questions because it's becoming a monologue. So I just wanted to cut here and then answer all your queries. Thank you very much. Thank you for Mr. The Sambhavam for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It was indeed a pleasure to have you here. Hello,
Yes, Parth.
am I audible here?
Yeah, Parth, you are audible.
Okay, sir. Thank you, Rajsekhar sir. It was our pleasure to have you here, and it was very enriching for us. And the information you gave us was really important, and it really enshrined our souls. Thank you a lot, sir.
I would like to invite questions from the aspirants in case of if anyone has any doubts or something like that.
Sure, sure. For that, I would like to invite Lalit for question answer session.
Yeah.
Thank you, Parth. Good evening, sir. Sir, my first question is, your journey as an IFS officer is a roller coaster ride. Was there a career setback you faced which you later realized was an advantage?
Career setbacks.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, of course. It's all part of your own career. You face a lot of problems. You do have plenty of challenges, and you do have administrative as well as problems from subordinates to ranging from all kinds of problems will be there. That you need to have a management strategy. So that way, once your motto and the ambitions are very clear, I think problems are part of life, right? You don't have a smooth sailing over the period of say 30, 35 years in any government service. So that way I have really faced a lot of challenges, not one, but so many challenges, but I have already, with the grace of God, I used to come out of each and every problem. That goes to the Lord Almighty. I'll leave it to him.
Thank you, sir, for your answer. It was an amazing session with you, sir. Our whole question has covered up. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Atisha, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah. Yes, please go ahead.
Now, moving on to our second speaker of the day, having served at various key positions. Yes, Bhaiya? Hello.
Yes, you can continue.
Okay.
I can log out.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can I log out from here?
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. It was really a great session. Now, moving on to our second speaker of the day, having served at various key positions for both union and state government, he had served in Ministry of External Affairs, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, and also he has administered in Daman and Diu. In his bureaucratic journey, he has served as SDM and Land Acquisition Officer, District Magistrate in Mizoram, and currently he is serving in Transport Department, Delhi government. Sir, you are a sign beacon of hope for the diligent yet destitute aspirants through your initiatives and approaches. He is none other than Ashish Kundra, sir. Hello, Ashish, sir. Hello, Ashish, sir. We would like to invite you first to share some insights with us.
he's not a host right now, so maybe.
Okay, there is a message from Ashish sir that he will join shortly.
Hello, Gaurav sir. Can you make sir host? I think he is unable to unmute himself.
गौरव ज्वाइन है क्या? आकाश, गौरव ने मीटिंग ज्वाइन की हुई है क्या?
I think हाँ सर कर दिया.
गौरव, आई थिंक आकाश फोन कर लेते एक बार.
Ashish sir, are you able to unmute yourself? Hello.
आशीष सर, you सुन पा रहे हैं? तो you are assigned the permission. Please try.
There is a message from Ashish sir that he will join shortly. He texted me on Zoom. Okay.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes sir.
ठीक है. कर दो. Yeah.
Parth, can you restart?
Sure, Bhaiya.
Sorry, I was a bit late, but I was in a meeting with Chief Secretary, so I got held up. But anyway, you can start quickly.
Okay, sir. Moving on to our second speaker of the day, having served at various key positions for both union and state government, he had served in Ministry of External Affairs, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, and he also administered in Daman and Diu. In his bureaucratic journey, he had served as SDM and Land Acquisition Officer, District Magistrate in Mizoram, and currently he is serving in Transport Department in Delhi government. Sir, you are a sign beacon of hope for diligent yet destitute aspirants through your initiative and approaches. He is none other than Ashish Kundra, sir. Sir, we would like to invite you to share some insights with us.
I thought this was going to be a Q&A, so if you have some questions, you can ask, and I'm happy to answer.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. I hope am I audible?
Yeah.
First of all, I would like to welcome you, sir, again. And it is indeed a pleasure for me that today I got this golden opportunity to have this one-to-one conversation with you. So without further ado, let's start with a Q&A session. So, sir, my first question from you is that, sir, you have traveled a long path in the journey of bureaucracy. So how do you see the future of Indian bureaucracy today?
That's a very difficult question to answer. All of you are at a point when you're making a choice, and this choice leads you to an unexpected trajectory of service or professional life. I will only say that I joined the service in '96, so it's a considerable length of time which has passed. When I joined the service, the whole entire landscape and the ecosystem was different. It is very, very different now, both in terms of opportunities which exist outside the service, as well as the opportunities and the constraints which are there within the service. So, in large measure, it continues to be a very exciting space to be in. But obviously, it entails a lot of sacrifice on the other side. Sacrifice in terms of the opportunity which exists elsewhere. For the same amount of hard work, perhaps you get paid much better in much better locations. When you are working, let's say, overseas, some of you will make those choices. And at the same time, when I look back, I will not say that I hold any regrets that I joined this service so far, in spite of very large number of ups and downs which one has in each professional career, whether it be civil service or any other service for that matter. But this is a conscious choice. You have to go into this with the eyes wide open and not be under any illusion of what this entails. And there will be challenges as you go along. The civil service itself might get reinvented. We don't know 20 years down the line how bureaucracy, the way it is modeled today, whether that model holds 20 years down the line. As it is, people have started questioning that the classical model of generalist civil servant, whether that is required in modern times or not. So it's a very complex question, no straight answers. It is bound to change. Already we are having the lateral entry into civil service from professionals from all spheres of life. And it is going to be a very, very interesting but complex phase for the civil service. And I think by just being a civil servant, you no longer hold that position which you used to command perhaps 20 years ago. It is only by virtue of your professional expertise, if you are able to demonstrate not only to your peers and seniors, but people at large, that you have it in you, then regardless of the service, you kind of manage.
Okay, sir, thank you so much for sharing such a beautiful experience with us. Okay, moving on to the next question. Sir, since we are all aware that you have worked as an administrator in different union territories as well for various key points, so how is the working methods are different from those in states?
Well, in union territory, there is no political executive, so to speak. So there is a single line of command. You report to seniors who are drawn from the service, and the decision making in a way stops there in most union territories. No, actually in Chandigarh, perhaps I think yes. But then, like in other union territories, like in Andamans and Lakshadweep, you have a political leader, but then only one person who's the focal point. And in states, there is a council of ministers, the political executive, there's a legislature, and so there are multiple kind of stakeholders who are involved in decision-making processes.
Thank you so much, sir. So my next question is that how do you define good governance in your opinion? And do you really think that participatory approach can actually ensure good governance?
See, and I think governance, when you talk about, if you're talking about citizen service delivery, yes, I think there is a lot of opportunity and merit in going through a process of crowdsourcing ideas, crowdsourcing feedback, crowdsourcing information, and calibrating your strategy as you go along. But I think, and even in policy making, there is some merit in having a very consultative exercise, because I or any of my colleagues or any of my seniors, in spite of the depth of experience that we might have had, no single individual or group of individuals can hold or claim to hold the repository of knowledge which might exist in the sphere outside. So it is always good to collaborate with academia, with the institutions of excellence, with think tanks, and also with the civil society at large. It's not easy to filter through information, but if you have the right filtering mechanisms, you can get the best out of this exercise.
So is the like public decision making really actually ensures good governance?
Sorry, I didn't get you. I didn't get your question.
Sorry, sir. I'm saying that it's public making decisions, which the public actually takes decision or makes decision. So it actually helps to ensure the good governance.
See, if there are problems which are local in nature, which are neighborhood problems, village level problems, then of course it is a decentralized framework where, let us say, in village communities, it will be the village panchayat which is best suited to decide on what needs to be done for that village. If it is urban setting, then the resident welfare association of that locality might perhaps be able to decide best or help in decide what is best for that governance. So that is how the architecture of governance should be, but that is only for very local problems. But like citywide problems, if you look at the most advanced countries of the world also, for example, if you benchmark, let's say with Singapore, we benchmark with London, with New York, if you have to benchmark Delhi, it is a very professional exercise. You know, urban governance is a very, very professional and complex exercise. And it is not left to intuitive judgment, but it actually should be driven by data-driven approach, which has very solid data points of decision making. It many a time doesn't happen in real life, but that is how ideally it should be.
So we can say that the urban governance is totally different from the rural governance, right? And we need to change a lot of things in that also.
See, urban governance, naturally the problems are different, whether you talk about transportation, whether you talk about local sanitation, local water supply, and so on and so forth. In rural areas, the challenges are of a completely different nature. You know, basic amenities don't exist. It's about toilets, sanitation, it's all about education, basic health supply services, and so on and so forth. So naturally, the urban and rural governance challenges are very different.
Okay, so thank you so much, sir. So my next question is that e-governance is becoming increasingly popular among the government and has many advantages in a country like India, obviously. But we cannot deny that it also comes with certain disadvantages as well. Like cyber security, which has become a huge issue in India nowadays, is one of the biggest challenges which India is facing, as we don't have any stringent laws. In that case, like, how is the government resolving this issue so that it doesn't negatively affect e-governance?
See, data protection law, the government is in any case working on creating a framework for that. But having said that, I think the advantages which you get out of a very transparent e-governance framework are far greater, which offset any other possibility or any other model. You know, for example, I can tell you that in Delhi, when I joined in February last year, very basic services which kind of impact everybody's lives, whether you have to get a learner license, a driving license, a registration certificate, and so on. Over a period of 6 months, we moved to a digital platform, making it completely faceless. So you apply sitting at home, and you don't need to come to a government office and there are people sitting at the back end who process it and dispatch your card by speed post. So imagine the ease of citizen service delivery, which is brought about through a digital governance framework. And I think the customer satisfaction is far greater. I don't know how many of you have actually visited a government office, but it is a very overwhelming experience for somebody who's young or somebody who's not used to how government offices are. People tend to be rude, people tend to be also corrupt, and people tend to be very dismissive when you are going for availing a service. So that is why it is all the more reason that we should go for a digital platform of service delivery where the public interfaces are minimized. And I think we have seen a dramatic change, for example, in passport service delivery. We have seen a dramatic change in several other. Aadhaar, in fact, has brought about a fundamental shift in the way things are now being transacted across the country. But I think there's huge scope of improvement. But and then there are variations across states. Digital governance in South India tends to be, generally speaking, larger than what is there in the northern states. But then I think that's the way forward. There's no two views on that.
So, sir, do you really think that we need to make more strict laws for cyberbullying? Like there is a lot of cyberbullying is going on, and we have also read lots of articles regarding that.
See, cyber security, of course, is something which is both a policy. It's not just a policy or a legal problem. It is also a technology problem. And with all technology comes an attendant risk, because for all technology creators, there is an equal number of people who are technology destroyers, who are waiting for an opportunity to hack systems. They are ethical hackers, so to speak, but there are unethical hackers also. There are state agencies which are hacking into systems, which pose another risk. So I think, there is legal framework can achieve a certain degree of, let us say, progress in this field. But I would say that it is a huge technology challenge. What kind of security architecture you need in cybersecurity to inspire the confidence of people that, yes, my data is safe. In the most advanced countries, there have been data breaches. And, but then they have found ways to deal with it. So it's not as if just because you've got an axe in your hand that you might cut your hand, that you throw the axe away. You have to find a way to hold the axe more professionally and with confidence. That's how it should be, right?
So, like as you mentioned that the Delhi government has used e-governance in an inspiring way. But sir, is it possible to take it across the country, especially rural India? And what are the challenges do you find in it?
Yeah, so I think especially in case of the transport sector, since we were all on a common platform, Delhi was the first one to innovate on these services. But once we had created a model, because the legal framework was common across country, several other states have replicated simply plug and play, because the process is exactly the same. And what took us maybe 6 to 7 months to define an architecture, other states were able to simply do the transition in a matter of few weeks, because they simply had to customize an application. However, the challenge, as you said, like in rural areas, in urban poor, is of digital literacy. So I think going ahead in the next 15, 20 years, digital skill sets, anybody who lacks digital skill sets will be, for all practical purposes, illiterate. And that is where the focus should be, on ensuring 100% digital literacy, so that everybody is used to use or access. There's a level playing field for access of government and other non-governmental services.
Thank you so much, sir. You have really mentioned it in such a nice and simple manner. And obviously, we cannot ignore the fact that every coin has two sides, and it comes with advantages and disadvantages also. So moving on to the next question, sir, as a principal secretary at Delhi Transport, you have closely seen the Indian transport. So we are aware that the Indian Railways has been the lifeline of our country's growth story. So what's your perspective on its privatization?
See, railways is not a subject that I've dealt with directly, but I can only say that yes, railways has historically been the lifeline of connecting people from rural hinterlands to urban India and across geographies. And I think it is a remarkable job that they're able to move millions of people across the nation in such a seamless fashion. It is also a very important constituent for carrying goods. So the entire logistics space is actually riding to a large extent on the backbone of the rail network. And now with new technologies coming in, with high-speed rail networks coming in, we can expect a much greater and a much faster progress in this sphere as well.
Yes, sir, definitely, because India is more now inclining towards privatization and it makes our country develop for sure. Okay, so moving on to the next question. So since you also served as a Union Minister for Commerce and Industry as well, but in the light of the challenges in Indian agriculture, what is the government doing to transition the workforce from agriculture to industry sector? As 50% of the population is still depend on agriculture and 20% indirectly. So what's your take on this?
See, the transition from agriculture to industry and to services sector is a natural progression as countries develop. And I think the hallmark of development in, or let's say the touchstone of development of any country is a degree of urbanization of a nation and the degree to which it is able to provide the infrastructure to support the services sector, whether it's financial services or other services. And I think in India, we are seeing also a similar transition happening. In fact, some of it is a push factor because of low rural incomes. Some of it is a natural pull factor because of higher urban incomes. But the risk is that the push factor should not translate to something where the rural economy is not able to sustain the population which lives there. At the same time, if it is a skill-based migration, that I have acquired a higher skill and I'm moving to urban area for a better employment or better life chances, then certainly it's something very desirable. But I think in the coming years, we are bound to see a greater urbanization and greater progression towards the service industry.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, as we already read in the news as well, that as Delhi government has launched more than thousands e-buses, if I'm not wrong, and we all can envision the future of e-vehicles, right? Every country is moving towards e-vehicles. So there are many challenges, especially in the semiconductor chips used in them. So what do you say it?
See, semiconductor, unfortunately, a couple of decades ago, India missed out on an opportunity to become a chip manufacturing base. But I think in the last few months, the government of India has announced very ambitious plans of supporting advanced chemistry cell manufacture in India. And I'm confident that in the next couple of years, we will be able to see ramped up production supplies in the semiconductor chips within the country. So, but at the same time, I think let's also not forget that industry today, as the way it is organized globally, is part of a value chain. Not everything can be manufactured by one country alone. There are dependencies on other countries and which will remain. It is obviously nature has bestowed certain resources on certain nations because of geography. And that fact cannot be ignored. And therefore, we can't say that everything should be produced in India. Certain things will be imported, just like certain things are exported from India to other nations which need it. So there is a value chain and there will be some dependency, but at the same time, I'm quite confident that we will be able to manufacture chips within the country in the next couple of years.
Thank you so much, sir. So my next question is that you have also worked as a Commissioner of Finance Planning and Investment for Andhra Pradesh government. And recently, RBI has announced that Bihar, Kerala, Punjab, Rajasthan, and West Bengal are highly stressed states. So these states need to take step to stabilize or debt to GDP ratio. What's your take on that, sir?
See, state finances is a very complex subject. Historically, over the years, how states have managed their finances is a function of how, shall I say, prudently the leadership of that state has allowed taken certain decisions. For example, if you have a very large workforce, so a large part of the money which you have got goes into their salaries, their pensions, and related benefits. If you have announced that there will be free electricity for all, like in Punjab, they had free electricity for farmers. In that space, naturally, government is subsidizing. Somebody has to pay for it. So it's a complex mix of factors added up. Then the debt burden of the state grows, just like that of an individual. Think of yourself, that you are running your household. If my expenses are outweighing my revenue, and I am therefore dependent on loans, naturally the debt burden will reach such a stage that I am unable to repay those loans, and therefore it becomes unsustainable. So that's why I think RBI and finance ministry and other institutions keep on advocating there should be a prudent fiscal management in all states. And there was a Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act, which was passed by Parliament, in which there were certain goals which were set for each state to follow. Some of them have followed, some of them did not. That's why the situation is so skewed as it is today.
Okay, sir, thank you so much. So this will be a personal question. Sir, now you have worked several positions. So would you like any experience you cherish more? Would you like to share some experiences which you cherished most?
There have been several exciting times. And I think the biggest thing is that, at a very young age, you are given an opportunity of leadership. And it's at one level very overwhelming, because it's a lot of responsibility. So I was hardly, I think, 23 when I joined the service. At that stage, 2 years later, I was sub-divisional magistrate in Chandigarh, which was my hometown. So a lot of expectations of people that you'll be able to change things the way they are. For me, the biggest, let us say, kick all through has been how to reinvent myself. How to bring new ideas on the table, how to change status quo, how to use technology for change, how to make sure that change outlives my tenure and not be dependent on me. So I think I have tried to retain that all through. And in various examples, some people go to Northeast with a very despondent heart. But I went there and, in Arunachal and Mizoram, and the amount of affection that I got there from the people there, because people value if you work from your heart, and, no amount of satisfaction you can get from the pat on the back which you get from people who are common people of India. It is the biggest strength, which gives you optimism, which gives you renewed hope, and which keeps you going in spite of all the ups and downs which you might have had over the years.
Thank you so much, sir. So what success mantra or any message would you like to convey all the aspirants out there?
So as I said in the beginning, I think first of all, be clear on what you want. When I was the age of people perhaps who are here today, my father was also in the civil service. So in a way, I was kind of conned into writing the civil service exam, because he thought that civil service is the greatest gift to humanity. And therefore I should write the exam. And that's how most children end up doing in India. But I think in today's time, when you're so connected, you have so much knowledge on what's happening in the world outside, be very clear on what is it that you are foregoing before you dive into this domain of even preparing for the civil service. Once you've made up your mind that yes, if at all you make up your mind that yes, in this complex environment, I will be able to hold my own and retain my optimism, retain my spirit, keep it intact, and for the right cause. Then you have to completely prepare yourself for working very hard and with a single intent. When your goal is clear, uh, then I think there is it's inescapable that you will perhaps success will not elude you. But as I said, you have to be clear that the purpose for which you're joining the civil service. I at times am quite disheartened when I see some of the young entrants whom I interact with. Just 3-4 years of service and they fall on the wayside. Some of them become corrupt, some of them become cynical, some of them become very indifferent. So that is not why you should join the service. If the goal at the starting point is to make a difference in the lives of people, then you should have the courage, have the tenacity and the resolve to retain that optimism till the very end. Otherwise, it's meaningless. Then I think there are far better opportunities on the outside, which will, if making money, for instance, is a goal, then I think you can make a far greater amounts of money in the private sector. There are far many opportunities today than there were 25 years ago. And I think you should not think, the last thing I will say is, even for the best intention and the most hardworking, if at all success eludes you, don't be disheartened. Maybe it is all for the better. Maybe your life turns out far better than it would have in the civil service. And maybe there's a silver lining in failure. So that is what I can say. Best wishes to everyone who's preparing.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, you were very right that there are many things which we can explore also other than the government services. We can also go in the private sectors as well. So there are some questions from the audience as well. So can I ask?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much, sir. So there's a question that he used to work in an MNC and the allure of earning in 7 figures is almost too tempting, and at times our powers my ardent desires to get into civil services. Can the life of a civil servant representing their country, taking decisions at the highest levels and helping people compete with a lush corporate life and be fulfilling?
Yeah, so that's why I said that you have to be prepared for certain sacrifices, because in civil service, fine, you might get a decent house in a decent location, you'll have a car, etc., etc. But to imagine that you will have the wherewithal to, let us say, wine and dine in a 5-star hotel on your own, or travel abroad with the frequency with which your other contemporaries might be doing, that if that is the aspiration, then I think stick to the private sector. So that's why I said you have to be clear what is it that you value more. If you like the good things of life, if you think that the comforts of life or the luxuries which entail a private sector job, including a good house, a good bank balance, is something which attracts you, please, by all means, join the private sector. But if on the other side, if you think that your heart beats for those who can't do anything for themselves on their own, and you have been fortunate enough to have had a good education, to contribute something back, then I think civil service is a better option and you can achieve far more.
Thank you, sir. That was a very wonderful session. And thank you so much, sir, for coming today. And it was really a wonderful and insightful session. And I hope that everyone got to learn about the different things, about different bureaucracy, governance, government of India, government of different state. So thank you so much again, sir, for coming.
Thank you. Thank you. Wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, sir. Over to you, Parth.
Thank you, Pradeep. We have Yash sir here.
But
Hello, yes, sir.
can you share the screen?
Sure, Bhaiya.
Yes, sir. It's here, I guess.
हेलो
Yes, sir.
तो मेरा स्क्रीन एकदम ऐसा ब्लर सा आ रहा है
Parth, can I just please stop?
Yeah, I'm stopping. Just a second.
Yes, sir.
Just
Yeah,
a
it's
second.
fine, sir. You are properly visible.
Yes, sir, you are visible from my side also. May I start?
Sir, should we start? Yes, sir. Should we start, sir?
हाँ जी करिए स्टार्ट
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you. With a very enthusiastic and inspirational evening, on behalf of Sambhavam Society for UPSC CSC Preparation, it's a feeling of immense pleasure for me to welcome our honorable third speaker of the day, graduated from IIT Guwahati and All India ranked 6th in UPSC CSC examination. I would like to introduce you all Yaksh Chaudhary. Having faced so many difficulties and struggles in life, you have come a long way and you have achieved a reputative and admiring position at such a young age. Sir, your honesty and determination to excel in life had inspired us a lot. Since clearing UPSC is a dream for many students, we will be very grateful if you can guide us to how to kickstart our UPSC preparation.
हेलो सुन पा रहे हैं मुझे
Yes, sir.
तो मैं हिंदी में बात करूंगा
Sure, sir. No problem. कोई दिक्कत नहीं है.
देखिए जहां तक बात स्टार्ट करने की है प्रिपरेशन मुझे लगता है कि उससे पहले हमको ये डिसाइड कर लेना चाहिए कि क्या यूपीएससी हमारे लिए एक एप्ट करियर है कि नहीं क्योंकि एग्जाम को समझना बहुत जरूरी है कि जिस तरह के मेंस में सब्जेक्टिव टाइप आंसर्स लिखे जाते हैं किस तरह का सिलेबस है हमको ऑप्शनल भी चूज करना पड़ता है तो काफी वास्ट सिलेबस है काफी मेहनत करनी पड़ती है आंसर राइटिंग भी बहुत ज्यादा करनी पड़ती है तो अपना एप्टीट्यूड भी हमको पहले पहचान लेना चाहिए और क्या हम रियली यूपीएससी करना ही चाहते हैं क्या वो एक अंदर से मतलब मोटिवेशन है कि नहीं कि हमको एक सिविल सर्वेंट बनना है उसके बाद अगर बात करें कि किस तरह से तैयारी को शुरू करना चाहिए तो सबसे पहले तो हमको सिलेबस बहुत अच्छे से पढ़ लेना चाहिए कि सिलेबस में कौन कौन से सब्जेक्ट्स हैं और उसके बाद हमको बेसिक चीजों से शुरुआत करनी चाहिए जो बेसिक बुक्स हैं जो बेसिक रिसोर्सेस हैं जैसे कि एनसीईआरटीज हैं और कुछ वीडियो लेक्चर्स हैं उनसे हमको शुरुआत करना चाहिए और उसके साथ साथ हमको न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ना स्टार्ट करना चाहिए डे 1 से न्यूज़पेपर बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट होता है ऐसा नहीं समझना चाहिए कि न्यूज़पेपर जब हमारा स्टैटिक कवर हो जाएगा उसके बाद हम न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ना शुरू करेंगे न्यूज़पेपर एकदम शुरू में पढ़ना स्टार्ट कर देना चाहिए क्योंकि उससे बहुत सारी हमारी जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग बनती है चीजों को लेके जो आसपास हमारी सोसाइटी में हमारे देश और विदेश में होता है वो हमको सब कुछ समझ आने लगता है और वो स्टैटिक से भी धीरे धीरे कनेक्ट होने लगता है तो अगर स्टार्ट करने की बात है सबसे पहले बेसिक एनसीईआरटीज पढ़नी होती है हमको और एनसीईआरटीज भी ऐसा नहीं है कि 6 to 12 लेके बैठ गए हम सारी पढ़ने बैठ गए कुछ एनसीईआरटीज इंपॉर्टेंट है सारी एनसीईआरटीज इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है तो बेसिक एनसीईआरटीज जैसे कि अगर मैं बात करूं स्पेसिफिक टू एनसीईआरटीज तो इकोनॉमिक्स में जैसे मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स की एनसीईआरटी अच्छी है ज्योग्राफी में 11-12 की एनसीईआरटीज अच्छी हैं पॉलिटी में ये पॉलिटिकल थ्योरी और इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन एट वर्क की एनसीईआरटीज अच्छी हैं तो इस तरह से जो बेसिक एनसीईआरटीज है हमको उससे शुरुआत करना चाहिए और न्यूज़पेपर को हमको साथ में पढ़ते रहना चाहिए वो जो बेसिक रिसोर्सेज जब हमारा बेसिक चीजें हो जाए सारे सब्जेक्ट्स हो जाए हमारे जो प्रीलिम्स और मेंस दोनों का पार्ट है जो जैसे कि इकोनॉमिक्स है या फिर हमारा ज्योग्राफी है ये सब चीजें जो हमारी दोनों का कॉमन चीजें हैं उनको हमें सबसे पहले करना चाहिए जब ये एक बार हो जाए तो उसके बाद हमें अपना ऑप्शनल चूज करना चाहिए और ऑप्शनल पहले खत्म करना चाहिए जब एक बार ऑप्शनल हमारा हो जाता है उसके बाद कुछ मेंस के टॉपिक्स हमारे छूटेंगे जैसे सोसाइटी होता है डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट होता है इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी होता है फिर हम उन सबको करें और इतना करने के बाद हमारा सिलेबस एकदम कंप्लीट हो जाता है उसके बाद हमको आना चाहिए प्रैक्टिस पे प्रीलिम्स की भी और मेंस की भी तो ये एक छोटा सा एक टाइमलाइन की तरह से हो सकता है किसी को ऑप्शनल पहले करना हो सकता है किसी को ऑप्शनल बाद में करना हो, पर जिनका ऑप्शनल ऐसा है जो जीएस टाइप सिलेबस में, जो जीएस के सिलेबस में, किसी का ज्योग्राफी है या फिर सोशियोलॉजी है जो जीएस में भी हम पढ़ते हैं। आप बहुत वाइब्रेट कर रहे हैं, मुझे डिस्ट्रैक्शन हो रहा है। तो जो चीजें जो चीजें प्रीलिम्स और मेंस का पार्ट है उनको पहले करना चाहिए, उसके बाद हमको ऑप्शनल करना चाहिए। और ऑप्शनल भी हमको चूज करना चाहिए जब हम अपने प्रीलिम्स या मेंस के जो टॉपिक्स हैं, जो सिलेबस में हमारे सब्जेक्ट्स हैं, जब हमको एक बार कर लेंगे तो हमको पता चल जाएगा कि हमारा इंटरेस्ट किस सब्जेक्ट में है। अगर उन सब में से कोई इंटरेस्ट आता है आपको सब्जेक्ट्स में तो आप वाला ऑप्शनल चूज करें, अगर नहीं आता है बाकी अगर किसी और में इंटरेस्ट है, सपोज मैथ्स में इंटरेस्ट है या फिर साइकोलॉजी में इंटरेस्ट है, तो वो चूज कर सकते हैं। तो इस तरह से बेसिक चीजें हैं। बट जो लोग अभी स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं उनके लिए मेरी एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट मैं मानूंगा रिकमेंडेशन है कि शॉर्टकट्स लेने की कोशिश ना करें। जो पहला अटेम्प्ट हमारा होता है वो एकदम फाउंडेशनल अटेम्प्ट होता है। जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग हम अपने फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट में बनाते हैं वो हमारे आगे, अगर भगवान की दुआ से पहले अटेम्प्ट में हो जाए, अगर बाई चांस किसी वजह से नहीं होता है पहले अटेम्प्ट में, तो जो फाउंडेशन हमारी पहले अटेम्प्ट में बनती है वो फाउंडेशन हमारी आगे तक जो आगे की चीजें, जो आगे फर्दर अटेम्प्ट है, वो एक तरह से बिल्डिंग की तरह है। और जो हमारी फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट वाली जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग है वो हमारी फाउंडेशन की तरह है। फाउंडेशन अगर वीक होगा तो बिल्डिंग नहीं बन पाएगी। तो हमको जो फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट है उसमें ज्यादा से ज्यादा पढ़ना चाहिए, और अच्छे से पढ़ना चाहिए, अपनी अंडरस्टैंडिंग बनानी चाहिए। अगर बात करें हम कि कौन कौन से सोर्सेज होते हैं, बहुत सारे फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट वालों को ये डाउट होता है कि कौन से सोर्सेज हमको पढ़ने चाहिए, कौन से सोर्सेज नहीं पढ़ने चाहिए। तो इस कंफ्यूजन को एकदम दिमाग से हमको निकाल देना चाहिए। किसी भी एक सब्जेक्ट के लिए जो स्टैंडर्ड बुक्स हैं उसमें से एक या दो बुक जो भी चूज करनी है वो सेलेक्ट करें, और फिर उसी को बार बार रिवाइज करें, उसी पे रिलाई करें बिल्कुल। फिर ऐसा नहीं हमको सोचना चाहिए कि मेरे दोस्त ने तो, मैंने स्पेक्ट्रम पढ़ी है उसने सोनाली बंसल पढ़ ली, मैंने ये पढ़ी थी उसने वो पढ़ ली, कभी मैं पीछे ना छूट जाऊं। यूपीएससी किसी एक बुक से तो सारे क्वेश्चंस नहीं पूछता है। बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग हमारी होनी चाहिए, उसके बाद तो हमारी एनालिटिकल स्किल्स के ऊपर पूरा गेम है। तो हमें सोर्सेज के बारे में कंफ्यूज नहीं होना चाहिए। अपने सोर्सेज सेलेक्ट करें, स्टैंडर्ड सोर्सेज है एकदम, कि भाई अगर पॉलिटी के लिए पढ़ना है तो लक्ष्मीकांत स्टैंडर्ड बुक है, अगर एनवायरनमेंट पढ़ना है तो शंकर आईएएस है या पीएमएफ आईएएस है, इकोनॉमी पढ़ना है तो मृणाल है या फिर कोई रमेश सिंह बुक है, श्री राम बुक है, कोई भी एक चूज करें और उसी को पढ़ें बार बार। ज्योग्राफी के लिए कोई सी बुक चूज करें अपनी और उसी से फिर स्टिक करें। तो ये जो सोर्सेज का डाउट है, स्पेशली जो फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट वाले हैं, इस सोर्सेज का कंफ्यूजन एकदम दिमाग से निकाल देना चाहिए हमको। सिर्फ एक चूज कर ले पहले से कि ये हमको पढ़ना है, फिर उसी को बार बार पढ़ते रहे, तो बस इतना ही हमको करना है। बट प्रॉब्लम ये है कि सोर्सेज जो है सबको पता होते हैं कि लक्ष्मीकांत पढ़ना है, ये बुक पढ़नी है, वो बुक पढ़नी है। मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट चीज ये है कि उन बुक्स को पढ़ना कैसे है। अभी अगर मेरे पास लक्ष्मीकांत है तो सब लोगों का पढ़ने का तरीका अलग होता है, तो वो पढ़ने का तरीका इंपॉर्टेंट है रादर देन सोर्सेज, कि कौन सा हमको कौन सा सोर्स चूज करना है। कोई भी सोर्स चूज करने, बट उसका जो पढ़ने का तरीका है उस पर ज्यादा फोकस हमको करना चाहिए। और मेरे हिसाब से तो ऐसा होना चाहिए कि जैसे मैं पहले ही बात कर रहा था फाउंडेशन की, कि अंडरस्टैंडिंग बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी है एग्जाम में। ये जो मेंस और इंटरव्यू है, प्रीलिम्स में तो चलो फिर भी कुछ फैक्चुअल क्वेश्चंस आते हैं, बट आजकल फिर भी बहुत कंसेप्चुअल क्वेश्चंस प्रीलिम्स में भी आते हैं। प्रीलिम्स भले से किसी का निकल जाए, बट जो मेंस और इंटरव्यू है उसमें जो हमारी कंसेप्चुअल क्लैरिटी है, जो हमारी अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, वो काम आती है। क्वेश्चंस डायरेक्टली नहीं पूछे जाते हैं मेंस में। कुछ क्वेश्चंस हो सकता है 2 4 5 क्वेश्चंस डायरेक्ट आ जाएं, जैसे मेरे टाइम पे शायद जल जीवन मिशन डायरेक्ट पूछ लिया था। तो इस तरह के क्वेश्चंस बहुत रेयर होते हैं। क्वेश्चंस एनालिटिकल ज्यादा होते हैं, सीधा सीधा क्वेश्चंस नहीं पूछते हैं, क्वेश्चंस को घुमा फिरा के पूछा जाता है। और इस तरह के जो क्वेश्चंस हैं जो डायरेक्ट नहीं होते हैं, एनालिटिकल होते हैं, उसमें अंडरस्टैंडिंग काम आती है। अब अगर कुछ लोगों को समझ नहीं आ रहा हो कि मैं किस तरह से बात कर रहा हूँ, कि जैसे हमारे सिलेबस में दिया होता है कि इंक्लूसिव ग्रोथ का एक टॉपिक दिया हुआ है, या फिर मान लेते हैं कि सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप्स का दिया हुआ है, तो एक पढ़ने का तो तरीका ये हो सकता है कि सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप उठाया और उसके डेफिनेशन उसकी हमने याद कर ली, उसके इश्यूज याद कर लिए, उसके 4 सॉल्यूशंस याद कर लिए और एक कंक्लूजन याद कर लिया। एक दूसरा तरीका ये है कि इस पूरे मुद्दे को अच्छे से समझा जाए, जो करंट अफेयर्स में चल रहा है, सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप्स हैं, एनजीओ है, उनको समझा जाए, उसकी बिल्कुल पूरी एक अच्छे से समझ बनाई जाए कि सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप्स क्या होते हैं, बहुत बढ़िया से। एक दूसरा तरीका ये है, जब क्वेश्चन आएगा मेंस में सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप के ऊपर, जो दूसरा वाला पढ़ने का तरीका है जिसमें बहुत अच्छे से हमको समझ है, वो हमको काम आएगा। जो रटी रटाई चीजें हैं वो मेंस में बहुत ज्यादा काम नहीं आती। और ये अंडरस्टैंडिंग बनाने का क्या तरीका है कि देखिए हर जगह पे 2-3 तरह के लोग होते हैं, जो 2-3 तरह के पढ़ने का तरीका होता है। एक तरीका तो ये होता है, और स्पेशली मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि जो फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट में, जो सेकंड या थर्ड अटेम्प्ट वाले होते हैं उनको तो पता होता है कि उन्होंने फेलियर्स देखे होते हैं, उनको एक्सपीरियंस होता है। बट स्पेशली जो फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट वाले लोग हैं उनके लिए मैं ये बता रहा हूँ अभी कि जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग है उसको कैसे बनाना है। जब भी आप कुछ भी पढ़ें तो उसको समझ के पढ़ना है। अब समझने से मतलब ये है कि जब तक हमारा एक चीज क्लियर ना हो जाए उसे आगे ना बढ़े। ऐसा 1 घंटे का 2 घंटे का ऐसा नंबर ऑफ पेजेस का टारगेट्स ना बनाए कि 1 घंटे में मुझको 40 से 50 पेज पढ़ने हैं लक्ष्मीकांत पे। फिर आप समझ से ज्यादा रीडिंग पे रिलाई करेंगे, रीडिंग पे ज्यादा फोकस करेंगे। तो रीडिंग से ज्यादा जरूरी है उस जो भी हम पढ़ रहे हैं उसकी समझ, जो भी हम पढ़ रहे हैं उसकी समझ बनाए। अगर मैं आपको एग्जाम्पल दूं, बहुत सारे लोगों ने लक्ष्मीकांत पढ़ी होगी, उसमें जैसे फेडरल सिस्टम है, हमारा एक चैप्टर है, शुरू का ही चैप्टर है। फेडरल सिस्टम की कुछ कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स दी हुई हैं कि जैसे कि रिटन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन उसमें होना चाहिए। अब एक तरीका पढ़ने का ये हो सकता है कि हाँ मैंने याद कर लिया कि फेडरल सिस्टम की एक कैरेक्टरिस्टिक है कि रिटन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन होना चाहिए। बट मेंस में सवाल ये तो डायरेक्टली आएगा नहीं कि राइट डाउन द कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ द फेडरल सिस्टम। क्वेश्चन ऐसा नहीं आएगा, क्वेश्चन घुमा फिरा के आएगा। अगर आपको ये पता होगा कि रिटन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की क्या इंपॉर्टेंस है एक फेडरल सिस्टम में, अगर आपको ये समझ होगी कि फेडरल सिस्टम के लिए रिटन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन क्यों प्रीरिक्विजिट है, तब आप मेंस के क्वेश्चंस को अच्छे से हैंडल कर पाएंगे। तो समझ बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी है, चीजों की क्लैरिटी बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी है। और मैं वापस ये चीज बोलता हूँ कि जो कंसेप्चुअल क्लैरिटी, जो फाउंडेशन आप पहले अटेम्प्ट में बना लेंगे, पूरा जो आगे के फर्दर अटेम्प्ट्स होंगे वो उसी के ऊपर बिल्डअप होंगे। तो समझ, अंडरस्टैंडिंग बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी है। इसी तरह से अगर हम बात करें कि न्यूज़पेपर की, तो मैंने भी बहुत सारे दोस्तों को मेरे देखा है, नोटिस किया है कि वो समझ के नहीं पढ़ते हैं न्यूज़पेपर। टारगेट बनाते हैं कि 1 घंटे में मुझको ये न्यूज़पेपर द हिंदू पूरा कर लेना है, 1.5 घंटे में पूरा कर लेना है। फिर उसका आउटकम कितना आ रहा है, उसको उनको समझ कितना आ रहा है, वो उस चीज पे नहीं फोकस करते हैं, उस चीज को वो छोड़ देते हैं, इग्नोर कर देते हैं। नहीं, अगर हमने कुछ चीज रीडिंग मार ली तो वो वैसे भी काम नहीं आने वाली। आपने 1.5 घंटा 2 घंटा दिया न्यूज़पेपर पर, 3 घंटा भी दिया, सिर्फ उसको रीडिंग मार के आप आगे निकल गए, अगर क्वेश्चन उसमें से आया कुछ तो वो तो अटेम्प्ट आप कर ही नहीं पाएंगे। फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर मैं बताऊं आपको कि अभी जैसे रशिया यूक्रेन के ऊपर कोई आर्टिकल आया कि यूक्रेन ने इतना वहां पे बम फोड़ दिया, इतने लोग मर गए, तो ये तो न्यूज हो गया, बट ये तो एग्जाम में आने वाली नहीं है। तो आपको क्या करना चाहिए कि आप रशिया यूक्रेन के बारे में पढ़ें कि वो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट क्यों हो रही है, उसका इंटरनेशनल जो जियो पॉलिटिक्स है उस पर क्या इम्पैक्ट आएगा, उसमें इंडिया कैसे रोल प्ले कर सकता है, या इंडिया के ऊपर क्या इफेक्ट आएगा रशिया यूक्रेन क्राइसिस के ऊपर। ये सब इंपॉर्टेंट होता है रादर देन दैट न्यूज। इसी तरह से बहुत सारे हमारे एडिटोरियल्स आते हैं, कुछ किसी मुद्दे के बारे में बोलते हैं, किसी कोई दूसरे मुद्दे के बारे में बोलता है। अगर बात करें अगर एग्जांपल ले लें कि सपोज इंडिया रशिया रिलेशंस के ऊपर कोई आता है और वो एडिटोरियल इंडिया रशिया रिलेशंस कैसे इम्पैक्ट होंगे रशिया और यूक्रेन क्राइसिस से, इसके ऊपर वो एडिटोरियल है। अगर आप उसको पढ़ लेंगे तो आपकी, अगर इंडिया रशिया रिलेशंस आपको क्लियर नहीं है तो आपको एडिटोरियल भी वो क्लियर नहीं होगा। क्योंकि कोई भी न्यूज हो, कोई भी आर्टिकल हो, कोई भी एडिटोरियल हो, उसके पीछे का एक कंटेक्स्ट होता है, एक बैकग्राउंड होता है। जब तक वो समझ नहीं आएगा तब तक वो एडिटोरियल की आपको समझ नहीं बनेगी। आप भले से उसको पढ़ लेंगे, आपको एक सुपरफिशियल सेटिस्फेक्शन मिल जाएगा कि यार मैंने एडिटोरियल पढ़ लिया है, वो सब लोग बोलते हैं एडिटोरियल पढ़ना है, मैंने एडिटोरियल पढ़ लिया, मेरा काम पूरा हो गया। बट वो आपका कहीं काम नहीं आएगा अगर आपने उसको समझा नहीं होगा। और सिर्फ एडिटोरियल पढ़ के समझना मुश्किल है, क्योंकि एडिटोरियल जो होते हैं वो किसी एक न्यूज के किसी एक डायमेंशन को के बारे में बात करते हैं। जैसे यहाँ पे इंडिया रशिया रिलेशंस के बारे में बात करें तो वो रशिया यूक्रेन क्राइसिस के ऊपर की वजह से इंडिया के ऊपर क्या इम्पैक्ट होगा उसके बारे में बात कर रहा है। इससे पहले आपको क्या करना चाहिए, पहले आपको सर्च करना चाहिए कि इंडिया रशिया रिलेशंस कैसे है। और आजकल तो गूगल पे आप अगर सर्च करेंगे इंडिया रशिया रिलेशंस, उसको आगे यूपीएससी लगा देंगे, बहुत सारे कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट्स का छोटे छोटे आर्टिकल्स आते हैं, 1-2 आर्टिकल पढ़ लेंगे, 3-4-5 मिनट का काम होता है, तो आपको एक कंटेक्स्ट बन जाएगा उसका, आपको बैकग्राउंड पता चल जाएगा, आपको समझ आ जाएगा कि इंडिया रशिया रिलेशंस है क्या एग्जैक्टली। अब उसके बाद आप उस एडिटोरियल को पढ़ेंगे तो जो राइटर उसमें बोल रहा होगा, जो आर्ग्यूमेंट दे रहा होगा, तभी आप उसको अप्रिशिएट कर पाएंगे। अदरवाइज आप उसकी सुपरफिशियल रीडिंग मारेंगे जो कभी काम नहीं आने वाली। इसी तरह से अगर कोई न्यूज़पेपर में कोई आर्टिकल आता है, और ये सिर्फ न्यूज़पेपर के लिए ही नहीं है, ये बाकी हम जो भी स्टैटिक पढ़ते हैं उसके लिए भी, जैसे मैं फेडरल सिस्टम के बारे में बता रहा था कि भाई फेडरल सिस्टम की कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स हमने याद कर ली और हमको लगा कि यार मेरा चैप्टर तो पूरा हो गया, बट अगर आपको उसकी समझ ही नहीं है तो वो किसी काम का नहीं है। जो चीजें आपने समझी है वही चीजें आपकी यूपीएससी में काम आने वाली है सारे स्टेजेस पे, चाहे प्रीलिम्स हो, चाहे मेंस हो, चाहे इंटरव्यू हो। अगर आपने चीजें नहीं समझी हैं तो कहीं काम नहीं आएंगी आपके। जैसे हम न्यूज़पेपर के बारे में बात करें तो फॉर एग्जांपल अगर कोई आर्टिकल आता है कि ये बटरफ्लाई इस नेशनल पार्क में पाई गई, तो वो न्यूज इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है, वो स्पीसीज भी इतनी ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है, क्योंकि आजकल बहुत ज्यादा नहीं पूछते हैं स्पीसीज का। अगर कोई बहुत ज्यादा फेमस है तो आपको पढ़ना चाहिए, बट इंपॉर्टेंट है कि वो नेशनल पार्क। तो जो भी सीरियस कैंडिडेट्स हैं, अब जो लोग मजे के लिए पढ़ रहे हैं उनकी बात अलग है, पर जो सीरियस कैंडिडेट्स हैं उनकी ये जिम्मेदारी बनती है कि उस नेशनल पार्क के बारे में सर्च करके पढ़ें, उसको, उस नेशनल पार्क को गूगल करें, उसका विकिपीडिया पे 1-2 पैराग्राफ पढ़ें, उसके बारे में पढ़ें कि लोकेशन क्या है उसकी, उसमें कौन कौन से रेयर एनिमल्स पाए जाते हैं, कौन सी रिवर उससे निकलती है, उसके आसपास और कौन से नेशनल पार्क हैं, लेफ्ट टू राइट या नॉर्थ टू साउथ। ये सब पढ़ेंगे, ये सब समझेंगे, तब आपकी पढ़ाई जो है वो कामयाब है, तभी वो पढ़ाई आपके काम आएगी। अदरवाइज वो न्यूज पढ़ के आगे निकल गए कि ये बटरफ्लाई नेशनल पार्क में मिली, अच्छा बहुत बढ़िया, आगे निकल के पढ़ लिया हमने एडिटोरियल, तो सेटिस्फेक्शन मिल गया कि यार हमारी तो न्यूज़पेपर हो गया आज। वो न्यूज़पेपर आपके कभी काम नहीं आएगा। तो वापस से मैं बोलता हूँ कि अंडरस्टैंडिंग, समझ बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी है। आप कुछ भी पढ़ें समझ के पढ़ें, नहीं समझेंगे वो कहीं काम नहीं आएगा आपके। स्पेशली मेंस में तो बिल्कुल काम नहीं आएगा वो। मेंस में एनालिटिकल क्वेश्चंस आते हैं और प्रीलिम्स निकाल के कुछ उखाड़ा नहीं जाएगा। अल्टीमेटली करना आपको मेंस है, क्योंकि मेंस के मार्क्स से अल्टीमेट जो मेरिट आएगी उसमें ऐड होंगे, और इंटरव्यू के उन दोनों ही स्टेज पे अंडरस्टैंडिंग और समझ बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी है। जैसे हम कोई भी बुक पढ़ते हैं, फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर हम मैं बार बार एग्जाम्पल दे रहा हूँ क्योंकि मैं मान रहा हूँ कि यहाँ पे फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट वाले ज्यादा हैं, सेकंड या थर्ड अटेम्प्ट वाले जो है ज्यादा टॉपर स्टॉक नहीं देखते हैं। तो मैं फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट वालों के पर्सपेक्टिव से बोल रहा हूँ कि जैसे कोई भी ज्योग्राफी का कोई भी कंसेप्ट है, कि सपोज मानसून का कंसेप्ट आया हमारा, उसमें बहुत सारी चीजें, बहुत सारे फैक्टर्स होते हैं, जैसे अल नीनो होता है, ला नीनो होता है। उसमें अगर रट के हम बैठ गए कि यार पॉजिटिव होगा ला नीनो तो उससे मानसून बढ़ेगा या घटेगा, अल नीनो आएगा तो उससे मानसून कम हो जाएगा, बारिश कम होगी, वो तो ठीक है, वो तो सब रट के जाएंगे। प्रीलिम्स में भले से आप क्वेश्चन बना ले, अगर मीन्स में क्वेश्चन आएगा इस तरह का मानसून का कोई भी, उससे अल नीनो से कनेक्ट करेगा डायरेक्टली, तो क्वेश्चन में ये नहीं पूछेंगे कि उससे उसका पॉजिटिव इम्पैक्ट क्या, निगेटिव इम्पैक्ट है। इस बार का तो प्रीलिम्स में भी एक क्वेश्चन आया था जिसमें कि ओशन के दो तरफ का कुछ टेम्परेचर डिफरेंस या प्रेशर डिफरेंस पर पूछ रहे थे। इस तरह के क्वेश्चंस में समझ जरूरी है कि अगर पॉजिटिव अल नीनो है या नेगेटिव है तो उससे मानसून पे इम्पैक्ट पड़ेगा कैसे, मैकेनिज्म क्या है, किस वजह से पड़ रहा है, वो ज्यादा जरूरी है। सुपरफिशियल रीडिंग मारने से कुछ नहीं होगा। हो सकता है बहुत हार्शली बोल रहा हूँ यहाँ पे, बट अगर आप इस तरह से नहीं पढ़ेंगे तो सिलेक्शन नहीं होगा, मेंस इंटरव्यू नहीं निकलेगा। अगर आपने समझ के नहीं पढ़ा होगा, आपको कंसेप्चुअल अंडरस्टैंडिंग नहीं होगी। तो ये सब चीजें हैं, समझ जरूरी है। मैं बार बार रिपीट कर रहा हूँ, समझ जरूरी है। अगर मेरा तो ये एक्सपीरियंस है, अगर मेरा पूरा जो भी मेरा एक्सपीरियंस है, जो भी मेरी जर्नी है यूपीएससी का, उसको निचोड़ के देखे तो मैं वापस से निकलेगा कि अंडरस्टैंडिंग और समझ। और ये जो हमारा ऑप्शनल होता है उसमें भी इतना ही इम्पोर्टेंट है। मैंने बहुत सारे लोगों को ऑब्जर्व किया है कि शॉर्टकट्स मारने की कोशिश करते हैं कि यार ये टॉपर के नोट्स उठा लिए जाएं, वो टॉपर के नोट्स उठा लिए जाएं, उसका पढ़ के उसका हो गया, और हम भी ऐसे ही कर लेते हैं। ऑप्शनल की रेफरेंस बुक्स नहीं पढ़ेंगे, शॉर्ट शॉर्ट में जो बुक्स आती हैं, कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट्स का मटेरियल आता है, उसको पढ़ के फिर हम सोचेंगे कि यार हमारा तो मेंस में, हमारा ऑप्शनल में अच्छे नंबर आ जाएंगे। फिर नंबर आएगा 220 230, तो बोलेंगे यार हमने तो बहुत मेहनत की थी, पता ही नंबर क्यों नहीं आए। फिर ऑप्शनल में हमको पता है कि डेप्थ में हमको एनालिटिकल अंडरस्टैंडिंग होनी चाहिए। जीएस में तो फिर भी चलो आप लिख सकते हैं कुछ, बट ऑप्शनल में तो इन डेप्थ अंडरस्टैंडिंग होनी चाहिए। और जो भी इश्यूज होते हैं उनकी एनालिसिस बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी होती है। तो बिना रेफरेंस बुक्स के वो अंडरस्टैंडिंग बनी नहीं पाएगी। अंडरस्टैंडिंग नहीं बनेगी तो एवरेज नंबर आएंगे, फिर एवरेज नंबर 250 240 होते हैं, उतने में तो एक अच्छी रैंक हम एक्सपेक्ट नहीं कर सकते। तो अगर ऑप्शनल में भी 270 280 या 300 के आसपास पहुंचना है तो बहुत मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी। शॉर्टकट से काम नहीं होता है, शॉर्टकट्स लेंगे तो वो समझ नहीं बन पाएगी। मैं आपको एक एग्जांपल देता हूं कि जैसे मेरा सोशियोलॉजी ऑप्शनल है, तो मेरे ऑप्शनल के लिए भी बहुत सारे छोटे छोटे मटेरियल आते हैं। कोई छोटी छोटी 300-400 पेज की बुक आती है जिसमें पूरा सिलेबस एंटायरली कवर्ड होता है, बट उस बुक को पढ़ के वो अच्छे से अंडरस्टैंडिंग नहीं बनेगी सोशियोलॉजी की। बहुत सारे लोग रिकमेंड कर देते हैं, पता नहीं कैसे पढ़ते हैं, कि यार ये बुक पढ़ लो, छोटी सी बुक है, इसे पढ़ के 300 आ जाएगा। फिर नंबर आएगा 210 220, एवरेज के ऊपर तो जा ही नहीं पाएगा। तो ये गलतियां फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट वालों को बिल्कुल नहीं करनी है। जो स्टैंडर्ड चीजें हैं उनको पढ़ो। यूपीएससी निकालने का स्टैंडर्ड तरीका है कि स्टैंडर्ड बुक्स हैं, स्टैंडर्ड रूटीन है कि हमको ऑप्शनल बढ़िया से करना है, सारे सब्जेक्ट्स बढ़िया से करने हैं, समझ के पढ़ने हैं, सारी रेफरेंस बुक्स पढ़नी है, उसके बाद टेस्ट सीरीज करनी है, प्रीलिम्स की भी और मेंस की भी, उसके बाद जाके वहां पे लिख आना है। तो कोई भी ऐसा एक फुल प्रूफ स्ट्रेटेजी कहीं नहीं है कि इस चीज को फॉलो कर लो तो हो जाएगा। स्टैंडर्ड चीजें हैं, स्टैंडर्ड तरीके से चलें, स्टैंडर्ड काम करें, स्टैंडर्ड तैयारी करें और सिलेक्शन हो जाएगा। तो उससे डेविएट होंगे या किसी की ऐसी सलाह मानेंगे कि यार ऐसा करके निकल जाएगा कम पढ़ के, तो वो सलाह एकदम गलत है। थोड़ी सी अपनी भी क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग रखें कि अगर आपको कोई सलाह दे रहा है, अगर मैं भी यहाँ पे कोई सलाह दे रहा हूँ, कोई और भी आपको सलाह दे रहा है, तो आप पहले ये परखें कि ये आदमी सही भी बोल रहा है कि गलत बोल रहा है, या जो काम इस आदमी के लिए किया है वो मेरे लिए काम करेगा कि नहीं करेगा। अब जो मेरी ये स्ट्रेटेजी थी आंसर राइटिंग या किसी और भी चीज की, हो सकता है बाकी लोगों के लिए काम ना आए वो। तो अपने दिमाग में भी थोड़ी सी क्रिटिकल अंडरस्टैंडिंग रखें। सॉरी, जो भी आपको कोई सजेस्ट करे उसको क्रिटिकली एनालाइज करें, जैसे कि हम मेंस के आंसर्स में करते हैं कि ये हमारे लिए वैलिड भी है कि नहीं है, यार ये आदमी सच भी बोल रहा है कि नहीं बोल रहा है। क्योंकि ये मैं इसलिए बोल रहा हूँ कि जब सिलेक्शन हो जाता है तो चीजों के प्रति जो पर्सपेक्टिव होता है हमारा वो चेंज हो जाता है। हम वो भूल जाते हैं जो हमने किया होता है। बाद में हमको लगता है कि यार ये बुक मैंने पढ़ी थी बट इसका कुछ काम नहीं आया। क्या मैंने तो मॉडर्न हिस्ट्री के लिए बिपिन चंद्रा पढ़ी थी यार, वो तो पर काम नहीं है, मेरा तो सारा स्पेक्ट्रम से हो गया। बट वो ये भूल जाते हैं कि जो कंसेप्चुअल अंडरस्टैंडिंग है आपकी वो बिपिन चंद्रा से ही बनी थी। तो चीजों का पर्सपेक्टिव या एग्जाम के प्रति पर्सपेक्टिव भी सिलेक्शन के बाद चेंज हो जाता है। कुछ लोगों का हो सकता है कि ऑप्शनल की कोचिंग लिए बिना उनका सिलेक्शन हो जाए तो उनको लगेगा कि यार कोचिंग तो बेकार है एकदम, और कुछ लोग उसी चीज को फॉलो कर लेंगे कि यार उनका तो बिना कोचिंग के हो गया था, मेरा भी बिना कोचिंग के हो जाएगा। यार उनका बैकग्राउंड देखो, उनका बैकग्राउंड आपसे अलग हो सकता है, उनका पढ़ने का तरीका आपसे अलग हो सकता है। तो खुद के ऊपर लेके खुद के थ्रू एनालाइज करना चाहिए। बाकी लोगों की सलाह एक कान से सुनो दूसरे कान से निकालो, जो चीजें इंपॉर्टेंट है वही अपने दिमाग में रखो। तो बहुत ज्यादा लोगों की सलाह लेना भी ठीक नहीं है, क्योंकि जैसे मैं पहले भी बोल रहा था यूपीएससी का स्टैंडर्ड तरीका है निकालने का, स्टैंडर्ड चीजें पढ़नी है, स्टैंडर्ड तरीके से पढ़नी है, स्टैंडर्ड रूटीन है कि हमको प्रीलिम्स में पीवाईक्यूज करने हैं, हमको मेंस में आंसर राइटिंग करनी है, इंटरव्यू में अपनी बोलने का तरीका अच्छा करना है, ये सब चीजें करनी है। सिंपल तरीका है, ये चीज को करेंगे तो सिलेक्शन हो जाएगा, नहीं करेंगे तो फिर दिक्कत है। तो जो फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट वाले हैं उनके लिए मैं एक चीज और बोलता हूँ कि ये जो प्रीलिम्स मेंस और इंटरव्यू की तैयारी जो साइलोज में करते हैं ये बहुत फेटल होता है। ये एक तरह से मैं तो बोलूंगा कि यूपीएससी में एक सुसाइड की तरह है कि पहले हम प्रीलिम्स की तैयारी करेंगे, फिर हम प्रीलिम्स निकालेंगे, फिर मेंस में हमारा सिलेक्शन नहीं होगा तो एक कॉन्फिडेंस आएगा हमें और हम अगली बार मेंस निकालेंगे। ये तरीका एकदम गलत है। तैयारी प्रीलिम्स और मेंस की हमको एक साथ करनी चाहिए। जब भी हम कोई भी किताब पढ़ रहे हैं, अगर न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ रहे हैं, किताब फॉर एग्जांपल लक्ष्मीकांत पढ़ रहे हैं, मॉडर्न हिस्ट्री पढ़ रहे हैं, तो उसमें ये सेग्रीगेट ना करें कि यार ये प्रीलिम्स का पार्ट है, ये मेंस का पार्ट है। जब प्रीलिम्स आए उससे 2-3 महीने पहले आप स्पेसिफिक टू प्रीलिम्स तैयारी करें, बट उसके पहले जितनी भी आपको तैयारी करनी वो इंटीग्रेटेड वे में तैयारी करनी है। ऐसा नहीं कि प्रीलिम्स के लिए आपको अलग से कुछ करना है। अब जो प्रीलिम्स के लिए हम फैक्ट्स डेटा हम तैयार करेंगे वो हमारे मेंस में भी काम आएगा। अगर आपने कोई नेशनल पार्क तैयार किया है प्रीलिम्स के लिए, तो अगर कोई एनवायरनमेंट के ऊपर क्वेश्चन आएगा तो आप उसे कोट कर सकते हैं मेंस में, ऐसे में कोट कर सकते हैं आप। तो एक एक प्रीलिम्स का जो आपने प्रीलिम्स के लिए पढ़ा है वो आपका काम आएगा मेंस में, और जो आप मेंस के लिए पढ़ेंगे, मतलब जो कंसेप्चुअली आप पढ़ेंगे वो प्रीलिम्स में काम आएगा, क्योंकि प्रीलिम्स में भी कंसेप्चुअल क्वेश्चंस आते हैं। तो दोनों की तैयारी हमको साथ में करनी चाहिए, प्रीलिम्स की भी और मेंस की भी। ऐसा सेग्रीगेट करना ठीक नहीं है। सेग्रीगेट हमको करना चाहिए प्रीलिम्स से 2-3 महीना 4 महीना, जिसको भी जितना दिन देना है प्रीलिम्स के लिए, उस महीने में आप स्पेसिफिक टू प्रीलिम्स तैयारी करेंगे। बट उससे पहले प्रीलिम्स और मेंस की तैयारी एक साथ करें। और जो लोग ऐसे हैं कि जिनको जब बोलते हैं उनका बोलने का तरीका है, उनको खुद को का फील हो कि वो बोलते हैं उनको कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं आता है, जो इंटरव्यू वाली वो प्रिपरेशन स्टेज में नहीं है, तो आप इंटरव्यू की भी तैयारी थोड़ा थोड़ा पहले से शुरू कर दें। मेरा दोनों बार, मैं पिछली बार भी सिविल्स का इंटरव्यू दिया था, इस बार भी दिया था, दोनों बार मेरे बहुत खराब मार्क्स हैं। और मुझे कहीं ना कहीं यही दुख है, यही मुझे रिग्रेट है कि मैंने इंटरव्यू की तैयारी सोचा कि मैं मेंस की बात करता हूँ। तो जिन लोगों को लगता है कि उनका जो कम्युनिकेशन स्किल है अगर वो वीक है, तो उसकी तैयारी हमको पहले से ही करनी शुरू कर देनी चाहिए। अब पहले से तैयारी शुरू का मतलब ये है कि हम अपना नोटिफिकेशन पढ़ें यूपीएससी का, फिर उसमें देखें कि किन किन पैरामीटर्स पे हमको यूपीएससी में इंटरव्यू में मार्क्स रिवॉर्ड किए जाते हैं, या उनको क्या क्या चीजें, क्या क्या पैरामीटर्स वो देखते हैं, और उन पैरामीटर्स को पहले से ही अपनी पर्सनैलिटी में इंकलकेट करना शुरू कर दें। सिंपल सिंपल चीजें हैं, जैसे कि हमको कॉन्फिडेंस बिल्ड करना है अपना। अगर किसी को इंग्लिश में इंटरव्यू देना है तो उसको इंग्लिश में कम्युनिकेशन स्किल को अपना इंप्रूव करना पड़ेगा, मतलब जो इंग्लिश बोलते हैं उसको इंप्रूव करना पड़ेगा। बाकी और कुछ कुछ पैरामीटर्स है, जैसे सोशल ट्रेट्स हैं हमारे, कि एम्पैथी कितनी है, ऑनेस्टी कितनी है बात करने में, वो सब चीजों पे पहले से काम करना शुरू करें, अपनी पर्सनैलिटी में उनको पहले से इनकलकेट करना शुरू करें। अदरवाइज मेंस का रिजल्ट आएगा, उसके बाद समय मिलेगा नहीं, और 1-2 महीने में पर्सनैलिटी चेंज भी नहीं होती है। पर्सनैलिटी थ्रू आउट द ईयर्स चेंज होती है, बहुत साल लग जाते हैं पर्सनैलिटी चेंज करने में। तो जिन लोगों को लगता है कि वो इंटरव्यू के लिए तैयार नहीं है, उनकी पर्सनैलिटी इंटरव्यू के लिए एप्ट नहीं है, तो वो पहले से तैयारी करना शुरू करें। ये गलती मैंने की थी, आपको नहीं करनी चाहिए। इसके बाद जो पहला अटेम्प्ट में है अभी, उनको इम्पोर्टेंस समझनी चाहिए पीवाईक्यूज की, कि मतलब पिछले सालों में जो यूपीएससी ने क्वेश्चंस पूछे हैं, प्रीलिम्स के भी और मेंस के भी, उन पे हमको बहुत फोकस करना चाहिए। प्रीलिम्स में कुछ क्वेश्चंस रिपीट होते हैं, आंसर्स का पैटर्न सेम होता है, किस तरह के जो स्टेटमेंट्स हैं ठीक होते हैं, किस तरह के स्टेटमेंट जनरली गलत होते हैं, इस तरह के आप छोटे छोटे पैटर्न्स को नोटिस करें जब हम पीवाईक्यूज एनालाइज करें प्रीलिम्स के, और जो भी उसके ऑप्शंस हैं उस पर थोड़ा सा रिसर्च करें, और उसका एक इंपॉर्टेंट थीम्स निकालने की कोशिश करें उसमें से, कि जैसे कि किस टॉपिक से, किस सब्जेक्ट से ज्यादा क्वेश्चंस पूछे जाते हैं। जैसे आर्ट एंड कल्चर में बुद्धिज्म जैनिज्म से ज्यादा क्वेश्चंस पूछे जाते हैं, एनवायरनमेंट में नेशनल पार्क से क्वेश्चन पूछे जाते हैं। तो इस तरह की जो थीम्स हैं उसको एक्सट्रैक्ट करें पिछले सालों के पेपर से, और उन थीम्स को अलग से बहुत अच्छे से तैयार करें, कि अगर नेशनल पार्क बार बार पूछे जाते हैं तो 2-4 दिन बैठ के सिर्फ नेशनल पार्क ही कर दो। अगर बुद्धिज्म जैनिज्म बार बार पूछा जाता है तो बुद्धिज्म जैनिज्म को 1 बुक से नहीं 4 बुक से कवर कर लो, चाहे 2 दिन लग जाए उसमें। अगर आपको 2 दिन में एक क्वेश्चन ठीक हो जाता है तो वो वर्थ है उतना टाइम इन्वेस्ट करना, रिटर्न उस पर काफी ज्यादा है। तो थीम्स उसमें से एक्सट्रैक्ट करने की कोशिश करें, उसमें से आंसर्स के पैटर्न्स निकालें, गूगल करें, बहुत सारे लोग बोलते हैं कि उसे टिप्स एंड ट्रिक्स होती है, वो जो भी चीज है उसको आप एनालाइज करें। मुझे तो लगता है मोर ऑफ द कॉमन सेंस है वो। तो जो भी चीजें उनको एनालाइज करें, तो देखें क्या चीजें इंपॉर्टेंट है और प्रीलिम्स के लिए क्या चीजें इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है, वो उसकी तैयारी स्पेसिफिक करें। और जो लास्ट में प्रीलिम्स से पहले होता है 3-4 महीने, उस टाइम पे पीवाईक्यूज पे बहुत ज्यादा फोकस करें। और प्रीलिम्स से पहले जब 3-4 महीने बचते हैं तो उसमें प्रीलिम्स के टेस्ट भी लगा दें, क्योंकि एक प्रीलिम्स का जो मोड होता है वो भी एक्टिवेट होना बहुत जरूरी होता है, कि लिमिटेड टाइम में हमको इतने 100 क्वेश्चंस करने हैं कवर। सीसेट भी हमको तैयार करना है, अपनी रीडिंग स्टाइल बढ़ानी है। वहां पे हमको ये भी प्रैक्टिस करना है कि यार अगर इंग्लिश में समझ नहीं आ रहा है क्वेश्चन तो हमको हिंदी भी देख सकते हैं, या हिंदी वाले जो है उनको हिंदी समझ नहीं आया तो हम इंग्लिश वाले क्वेश्चन भी देख सकते हैं। तो इस तरह से जो है, या फिर OMR कैसे भरनी है हमको, इस तरह की चीजें आपको पहले से प्रिपेयर करनी है। मतलब जो एक ओरिएंटेशन है हमारा प्रीलिम्स के लेके, उसको ऑन करना है, उस स्विच को हमको ऑन करना है, अपना प्रीलिम्स मोड एक्टिवेट करना है। तो ये चीज है। बाकी अगर हम बात करें आंसर राइटिंग के बारे में, बड़े क्वेश्चन लोगों को डाउट होता है, मुझसे बहुत लोगों ने पूछा कि आंसर राइटिंग कब शुरू करनी है। मेरा एक ही जवाब है, और मैं फिर से बोलूंगा, आपके लिए वैलिड ना हो, शायद मेरे लिए वैलिड हो, या मेरी चीज जो मैंने की है वो आपके लिए काम ना है, ये पहले से डिस्क्लेमर है। मैं वो बता दूंगा जो मैंने किया था, और आपको वो कितना काम आता है कितना काम नहीं आता, इसके बेस्ट जज आप हैं। तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि जब हमारा पूरा सिलेबस कंप्लीट हो जाए, सारे जीएस के पेपर्स कंप्लीट हो जाएं, जो मेंस से स्पेसिफिक टॉपिक्स हैं जो सिर्फ मेंस के सिलेबस में, वो भी सारे हो जाएं, आपका ऑप्शनल तैयार हो जाए, उसके बाद आप आंसर राइटिंग शुरू करें। तैयारी अभी शुरू की है, 1 महीना हुआ है, और आंसर राइटिंग शुरू कर दिया, तो आप आंसर्स नहीं लिख पाएंगे, वो वेस्टेज ऑफ टाइम होगा। तो अगर आपको ये सब कंप्लीट करने में अगर आपको 8 महीना लगता है, 10 महीना लगता है, तो उसके बाद आंसर राइटिंग शुरू करें। इसका लॉजिक ये है, इसका रैशनल ये है कि जब भी हम आंसर्स लिखते हैं तो हम उसमें बहुत सारी डायमेंशंस डालते हैं, बहुत सारे सब्जेक्ट्स के बारे में, या बहुत सारे जो अदर सब्जेक्ट्स की नॉलेज होती है वो भी अपने आंसर्स में डालते हैं। अब अगर एग्रीकल्चर के ऊपर क्वेश्चन आता है तो उसमें हमें इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस डालना है, सोसाइटी डालना है, सब कुछ डालना है, मुझसे एथिक्स भी डाल सकते हैं हम। और अगर सोसाइटी का क्वेश्चन आता है तो उसमें इकोनॉमिक्स डाल सकते हैं, उसमें एग्रीकल्चर डाल सकते हैं, उसको जो भी आपको लगता है कि वो रेलेवेंट है उस क्वेश्चन के लिए, आप वो डाल सकते हैं। और ये तभी होगा जब आपके सारे सब्जेक्ट्स तैयार होंगे। तो जब आपके सारे सब्जेक्ट्स बढ़िया से तैयार हो जाए, 2-4 बार रिवाइज हो जाए, आपको कॉन्फिडेंस आ जाए कि अब मुझे ये सब्जेक्ट पे पकड़ है, उसके बाद आप आंसर राइटिंग शुरू करें, तब आपको आंसर राइटिंग को मतलब आंसर राइटिंग से आपको ज्यादा रिटर्न मिलेगा। ये बात आंसर राइटिंग के बारे में, कंटेंट बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी होता है आंसर राइटिंग के लिए। आंसर राइटिंग की जो हम आर्ट बोलते हैं, या बहुत सारा मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन है यूपीएससी के मार्केट में कि आंसर राइटिंग की आर्ट डेवलप करना है। अरे भाई, आर्ट कब कैसे डेवलप करोगे जब आपका कंटेंट ही तैयार नहीं है? तो पहले कंटेंट पे काम करना है, आंसर राइटिंग उसके बाद करनी है। अगर आपके पास कंटेंट नहीं होगा, आप कितनी भी आंसर राइटिंग कर लें, पूरे साल भर आंसर राइटिंग करते रहे दिन भर, पूरे 365 दिन, आप नहीं ला पाएंगे मार्क्स अगर आपका कंटेंट तैयार नहीं होगा। पहले कंटेंट पे फोकस करना है, आंसर राइटिंग उसके बाद करना है। तो ये बात आंसर राइटिंग के ऊपर थी। ज्यादा फिर से मैं बोलूंगा कि ज्यादा कंफ्यूज नहीं होना है, सिंपल सिंपल चीजें हैं, सिंपल तरीके से करनी है, इधर उधर डेविएट नहीं होना है। बहुत सारे लोगों की रिकमेंडेशंस, बहुत सारे लोगों के सजेशंस लेके अपनी बार बार स्ट्रेटेजी को रिफॉर्म नहीं करना है। स्टैंडर्ड चीजें स्टैंडर्ड तरीके से करें और सिलेक्शन हो जाएगा बस। फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट वालों के लिए ऑप्शनल चूज करने में बड़ी दिक्कत आती है, बड़े लोग कंफ्यूज होते हैं। फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट में जब हम थे, हम भी बहुत कंफ्यूज हुए थे कि कौन सा ऑप्शनल लेना है। अब यहाँ पे जब हम ऑप्शनल चूज करते हैं अपना, यहाँ पे बहुत सारे लोग होंगे जिन्होंने ऑप्शनल चूज नहीं किया होगा अब तक, जो फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट वाले हैं स्पेशली। तो ऑप्शनल चूज करने के लिए कुछ पैरामीटर्स हैं जो हमको ध्यान में रखने चाहिए। हमको यहाँ पे ये समझना होगा कि जो ऑप्शनल होता है, जैसे मैं पहले भी बोल रहा था, उसमें बहुत इन डेप्थ नॉलेज चाहिए होती है। तभी हम जो इश्यूज होंगे, जो कंसेप्ट होंगे, उसको अच्छे से एनालाइज कर पाएंगे। और ऑप्शनल को हमको बहुत लंबे समय तक पढ़ना भी होता है कि 4 महीना पढ़ना है या 5 महीना पढ़ना है। तो इतने लंबे समय तक आप इंटरेस्ट के साथ तभी पढ़ पाएंगे जब आपको उस सब्जेक्ट में इंटरेस्ट होगा। जैसे मैंने सोशियोलॉजी लिया था, वैसे मैंने इतना ज्यादा नहीं सोचा था, जो भी मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ ये पोस्ट एनालिसिस है मेरा तो हो सकता है कि शायद मैं तुक्के से ले लिया था सोशियोलॉजी, क्योंकि मेरे बाकी सब लोग दोस्त बोल रहे थे, और मेरा उस डिसीजन ठीक था, क्योंकि मुझे सोशियोलॉजी में बाद में काफी इंटरेस्ट आया। बट जो लोग अभी चूज कर रहे हैं उनके लिए मैं बोलता हूँ कि आपकी जो इंटरेस्ट वाली चीज है, पहले से ऑप्शनल चूज करने से पहले आप इस चीज को सोचें। अगर बाई चांस मेरे साथ ऐसा होता कि मैं दोस्तों की वजह से एंथ्रोपोलॉजी ले लेता या फिर PSIR ले लेता, वहां पे मुझे इंटरेस्ट नहीं होता, तो मेरे मार्क्स आ ही नहीं पाते। तो हमको बहुत लंबे समय तक पढ़ना है, बहुत डेप्थ में पढ़ना है, उसके लिए जरूरी है उस सब्जेक्ट में इंटरेस्ट। इंटरेस्ट बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी है, वो टॉप मोस्ट प्रायोरिटी है, इंटरेस्ट। उसके बाद जब आपने इंटरेस्ट देख लिया, अपना इंटरेस्ट के हिसाब से आपने 3-4 जितने भी ऑप्शनल है या एक ऑप्शनल आपने चूज कर लिया, आप उसके बाद कुछ जो प्रैक्टिकल पैरामीटर्स है आप उसको देखें कि अगर आपका उस सब्जेक्ट में बैकग्राउंड नहीं है, हो सकता है आपको कोचिंग लेने की जरूरत पड़े, तो क्या उस सब्जेक्ट में कोचिंग अवेलेबल है कि नहीं, क्वालिटी गाइडेंस अवेलेबल है कि नहीं, ये भी हमको सोचना बहुत जरूरी होता है। क्योंकि कभी कभी कुछ लैंग्वेजेस में, जैसे हिंदी में भी है, बहुत सारे ऑप्शनल का कंटेंट नहीं मिलता है, मटेरियल नहीं मिलता है पढ़ने के लिए। तो आपकी जो भी लैंग्वेज है, आपको ये देखना पड़ेगा उस लैंग्वेज में पढ़ने के लिए अच्छा मटेरियल अवेलेबल है कि नहीं, उस लैंग्वेज में अच्छा गाइडेंस या कोचिंग अवेलेबल है कि नहीं, उस सब्जेक्ट या उस ऑप्शनल की टेस्ट सीरीज अवेलेबल है कि नहीं, और वो ऑप्शनल पहले कैसा परफॉर्म कर रहा है। ये कुछ प्रैक्टिकल चीजें हैं जो आपको सोचनी चाहिए अपने ऑप्शनल चूज करने से पहले। और ये चूज जो करना चाहिए वो आपको करना चाहिए, बहुत सारे लोगों से सजेशंस नहीं लेने चाहिए कि आप कौन सा लें कौन सा ना लें। जैसे PSIR है, सोशियोलॉजी है, एंथ्रोपोलॉजी है, आप अपने इंटरेस्ट के हिसाब से कोई सा भी ले लें जो आपको ठीक लगे, और उसमें फिर एक्सेल करें। तो ये आंसर राइटिंग, सॉरी, ये ऑप्शनल चूज करने के लिए है। और इस ऑप्शनल में स्पेशली मैंने पहले भी बोला कि शॉर्टकट्स लेने की कोशिश ना करें। तो छोटी छोटी बुक्स आती हैं, टॉपर्स के नोट्स आते हैं, उनको पढ़ने की कोशिश बिल्कुल भी ना करें। ये सब आपको समझ नहीं आएगा, आपकी कंसेप्चुअल अंडरस्टैंडिंग नहीं बनेगी ऑप्शनल में। ऑप्शनल में हमको बहुत अच्छे से कंसेप्चुअल क्लैरिटी और अंडरस्टैंडिंग होनी चाहिए, तभी आप अच्छे से आंसर्स लिख पाएंगे। हमको जो हमारा GS होता है उसमें इतनी ज्यादा हमको मतलब अंडरस्टैंडिंग चाहिए वहां पे, बट इतनी ज्यादा डेप्थ में अंडरस्टैंडिंग नहीं चाहिए जितनी हमको ऑप्शनल में चाहिए। तो ऑप्शनल को इंटरेस्ट के साथ चूज करें, और उसको जब चूज कर लें तो उसको बहुत बढ़िया से कवर करें। शॉर्टकट्स ना लें, जो रेफरेंस बुक्स हैं उनको कवर करें और उनके नोट्स बनाएं। ये बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी है ऑप्शनल के लिए। इसके बाद एक डाउट होता है कि हमको नोट्स कैसे बनाने चाहिए, बनाने भी चाहिए कि नहीं बनाने चाहिए। सबसे पहले तो मैं ये बोलूंगा कि ये पर्सनल चॉइस है। मेरे बहुत सारे दोस्त हैं जिन्होंने सिलेक्शन पाया है, उन्होंने नोट्स नहीं बनाए कभी भी। बहुत सारे लोग ऐसे हैं जिन्होंने बहुत ज्यादा बल्कि नोट्स बनाए थे, उनका भी सिलेक्शन हुआ है। तो ये जो है उनकी पर्सनल, जो आप एस्पायरेंट्स हैं, जो भी लोग हैं जो तैयारी कर रहे हैं, वो उनका पर्सनल पर्सनल चॉइस है कि वो नोट्स बनाए या ना बनाए। बट अगर नोट्स बनाए तो उसको फिर अच्छे से बनाए। जब किताब को 2-3 बार पढ़ लें उसके बाद नोट्स बनाएं, क्योंकि मैंने जब नोट्स बनाए थे अपने, मैंने मोस्टली नोट्स मेरे पहली रीडिंग में ही बना लिए थे, और उसमें से जो मेरे नोट्स थे उसका बहुत सारा कंटेंट आगे पहुंचते पहुंचते फर्दर अटेम्प्ट से बहुत रिडंडेंट हो गया था। मुझे लगता है यार ये चीज मुझे याद है, फिर मैंने अपने नोट्स में क्यों लिखी है, फिर मुझे वो काटनी पड़ती थी उसमें। जब 2-3 रीडिंग्स हो जाएं उसके बाद आप नोट्स बनाएं, क्योंकि तभी आपके नोट्स शॉर्ट एंड क्रिस्प होंगे। और जैसे कुछ स्पेसिफिक चीजें, जैसे कि हम करंट अफेयर्स के नोट्स बनाए या ना बनाए, या फिर पहले ये बात कर लें करंट अफेयर्स पढ़ना कैसे चाहिए। कि सबसे पहले तो सबसे शुरू में बोला कि न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ना जरूरी है, आप न्यूज़पेपर कवर करें। फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट में आप हैं, बहुत सारा न्यूज़पेपर का कंटेंट आपको समझ नहीं आएगा, बहुत सारे एडिटोरियल समझ नहीं आएंगे, तो उसके लिए आप यूट्यूब पे किसी भी कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट का जो एडिटोरियल एनालिसिस आता है आप उसको पढ़ें, या न्यूज़पेपर एनालिसिस आता है उसको वहाँ पे यूट्यूब पे देखें। जो लोग कोचिंग जाते हैं वीडियो डाउनलोड कर लें, वो कान में लगा के ट्रैवलिंग के टाइम पे उसको सुन लें, टाइम सेव करने के लिए। फिलहाल उसको कर ले, 25-30 मिनट का होता है, आपको बहुत अच्छे से समझ क्रिएट हो जाएगी जो भी इश्यूज कवर हुए होंगे न्यूज़पेपर में। उसके बाद अगर आपके पास टाइम हो, श्रद्धा हो आपकी, तो आप मंथली मैगजीन पढ़ सकते हैं। बट तो मंथली मैगजीन की इंपॉर्टेंस कम हो जाती है। बट जो लोग न्यूज़पेपर पे कम फोकस करते हैं, फिर वो करंट अफेयर्स बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होते हैं, तो उसके बाद आप मंथली मैगजीन को कवर कर लें। और उसके नोट्स, अगर आप मंथली मैगजीन नहीं पढ़ते हैं तब आप न्यूज़पेपर से नोट्स बना सकते हैं, बट अगर आप मंथली मैगजीन पढ़ते हैं तो नोट्स बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं होते हैं, क्योंकि मंथली मैगजीन में वो वापस से वही चीजें बार बार रिपीट होती रहती हैं, और उसमें आप जब मंथली मैगजीन पढ़ते हैं तो आप उसी में हाईलाइट कर सकते हैं। बट अगर आप मंथली मैगजीन नहीं पढ़ रहे हैं तो आप न्यूज़पेपर से नोट्स बना सकते हैं। बट जब आप नोट्स बनाए न्यूज़पेपर में तो कोशिश करें कि उनको ऑनलाइन बनाया जाए। मैंने मेरे फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट में पेन एंड पेपर पे नोट्स बनाए थे। जब कोई मुद्दा आता है, जैसे अभी इंडिया चाइना रिलेशंस अगर चल रहा है हमारा, तो आज का न्यूज़पेपर के तो नोट्स बना दिए मैंने, अगर वो 1 महीने बाद वो मुद्दा दोबारा से आता है तो मुझे ढूंढना पड़ता था कि मैंने किस पेज पे, किस कॉपी के किस पेज पे वो इंडिया चाइना रिलेशंस पढ़ा है। वो आधे टाइम वो मिलता नहीं था, उसको दोबारा से लिखते थे, वो फ्रेगमेंटेड हो जाता था कि आधा नोट्स उधर है आधा नोट्स उधर है, बाद में रिवाइज में बहुत दिक्कत होती थी। अगर आप ऑनलाइन बनाते हैं, जैसे कि मैंने सेकंड अटेम्प्ट से एवर नोट पे बनाना शुरू किया था, वन नोट भी एक अच्छा है, जिस पे भी आप बनाना चाहें, जो लोग एप्पल यूज करते हैं उसमें, मैक ओएस यूज करते हैं उसमें, जैसे नोटेबिलिटी होता है, गुड नोट्स होता है, कोई भी एक चूज करके उसमें आप टैगिंग कर सकते हैं कि कौन सी चीज कहाँ पे, डायरेक्ट टैग पे जाके आप उसी पे पहुंच सकते हैं, वहां पे उसको डिलीट कर सकते हैं, अपेंड कर सकते हैं, जो भी आपको मॉडिफाई करना है वो कर सकते हैं। तो आप कोशिश करें कि आप नोट्स ऑनलाइन बनाएं, और उसको भी टॉपिक वाइज बनाएं, जो मेंस के सिलेबस है उसके हिसाब से बनाएं, कि जैसे इंटरनेशनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस का एक उसमें नोटबुक बना ली, एग्रीकल्चर से रिलेटेड एक बना लिया, अब एग्रीकल्चर के अंदर भी पीडीएस में एक बना ली, या फिर एग्रीकल्चर रिफॉर्म्स पे एक पीडीएफ सॉरी एक फोल्डर बना लिया। उस तरह से आप सेग्रीगेट कर लें उसको, जो भी नोट्स है उसको टैग कर दें कि पीडीएस, किसी एक आर्टिकल पे पीडीएस का टैग कर दें। अगर आपको बाद में नहीं मिल रहा है कि पीडीएस कहाँ पे है, तो आप टैग्स में जाएं, सीधा टैग्स में जाके आप पीडीएस पे क्लिक करेंगे तो सीधा वो नोट्स खुल जाएंगे, वहां पे उसको आप देख सकते हैं, ऐड कर सकते हैं, रिवाइज भी आपको करना है तब वो कर सकते हैं। तो कोशिश आप यही कर सकते हैं कि ऑनलाइन नोट्स बनाए, बट सबके लिए फिर से एप्लीकेबल नहीं होगा, बट जिन लोगों ने पढ़ाई नहीं की है ऑनलाइन मोड में उनको बड़ी दिक्कत आ सकती है। तो आप अगर पेन एंड पेपर पे भी बना रहे हैं तो उसको आप इस तरह से उनकी इंडेक्सिंग करें कि आपको वापस से अगर आपको कुछ चीज पढ़नी है तो आप उसको तुरंत ढूंढ पाए। अगर इंटरनेशनल रिलेशन है तो उस पर, या इंटरनेशनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है तो उस पर आप कुछ इस तरह का टैगिंग करें, कुछ कलर वलर का, कि आप उसको जल्दी से ढूंढ पाए कि कौन सी चीज कहाँ पे कवर्ड है। बट अगर आप मंथली मैगजीन पढ़ रहे हैं तो आपको बहुत डिटेल में नोट्स बनाने की जरूरत नहीं है। आप सिर्फ उन्हीं चीजों के तब नोट्स बनाएं जो बहुत ज्यादा आपको इंपॉर्टेंट लगती है, जैसे इंडिया चाइना रिलेशंस में कि इंडिया चाइना के बीच में कौन कौन से बॉर्डर एग्रीमेंट्स है, आप उसको लिख सकते हैं उसमें, कि आपको वापस से जब आप रिवाइज करें तो आपको ईजी पड़े। या फिर कोई डेटा है आपको इंपॉर्टेंट लगता है, कोई कमिटी, कोई रिपोर्ट्स है, तो उसको आप अपने नोट्स पे बना सकते हैं, पर नोट्स को शॉर्ट एंड क्रिस्प बनाए, अदरवाइज वो रिवाइज नहीं होते हैं। ये नोट मेकिंग के ऊपर था। आंसर राइटिंग आप बाद में शुरू करेंगे तो बहुत ज्यादा कोई दिक्कत नहीं होती है आंसर राइटिंग के ऊपर, वो सीख जाते हैं जल्दी से आप। उसके अलावा तो मैं क्या ही बताऊं, किसी को और कोई डाउट है तो आप पूछ लीजिए मेरे से।
Thank you, sir, for this knowledgeable session. Sir, we have crafted some questions for you, which audience would be eager to know answers, and your take on those issues pertaining to the civil services journey. Beginning with this, my first question is, sir, there is still confusion in the minds of aspirants, especially college students, about when to start their preparation of UPSC CSC. So, sir, what's your take on it?
देखिए, सबसे पहली चीज तो है कि आप जितना जल्दी स्टार्ट करेंगे उतना आपको फायदा है यूपीएससी की प्रिपरेशन में, जितना आप जल्दी स्टार्ट करेंगे। बट यहाँ पे हमको ये भी समझना होगा कि कॉलेज की भी बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंस होती है आपकी पर्सनैलिटी को डेवलप करने में, आपकी पर्सनैलिटी को शेप करने में। वहाँ पे कॉलेज में हम सिर्फ अकेडमिक्स नहीं सीखते हैं कि मार्क्स लाना है, इतना सीजीपीए आ गया, ये आ गया, वो आ गया। वहाँ पे बहुत सारी एक्टिविटीज होती हैं जिसमें हम पार्टिसिपेट करते हैं, तो हमारी पर्सनैलिटी डेवलप होती है। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अगर आप कोई स्पोर्ट्स में पार्टिसिपेट करते हैं, किसी डिबेट कॉम्पिटिशन में पार्टिसिपेट करते हैं, तो वहां से हम बहुत सारी चीजें, बहुत सारी स्किल्स, बहुत सारी वैल्यूज सीखते हैं। तो यूपीएससी की प्रिपरेशन करने के चक्कर में इन सब चीजों को भी इग्नोर नहीं कर देना है। वैसे कॉलेज में हमारे पास काफी टाइम होता है, जो तैयारी कर सकते हैं, वो जो तैयारी करना चाहते हैं वो कर सकते हैं, 2-4-5 घंटे आप निकाल सकते हैं। जैसे मैंने मेरे 3rd-4th ईयर में न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ना शुरू किया था, जो बेसिक एनसीईआरटीज वगैरह हैं वो पढ़नी शुरू की थी। तो इस तरह की चीजें आप कर सकते हैं, बट हमको ये भी ध्यान में रखना है कि जितनी जल्दी आप स्टार्ट करेंगे प्रिपरेशन, उतना आपको फायदा होने वाला है। ये तो डेफिनेटली, जितना आप यंग स्टेज में आप सिविल सर्विसेज में एंटर करेंगे, उतना आप ऊपर तक पहुंच पाएंगे। ये तो सबको पता है।
Sir, due to time constraints, unwillingly we need to limit our enriching question and answer session to this upcoming question. Hence, now moving to our last question. Sir, throughout the UPSC journey, aspirants need to be focused and avoid distraction. How did you manage such distractions, especially social media? As you know, it is nearly inseparable from our lives nowadays.
भाई, जो भी लोग तैयारी करते हैं वो सब एडल्ट्स हैं, सब 21 के ऊपर हैं। अब हमको पता है कि भाई वो हमारा डेस्टिनेशन है, वहां पे हमारी मंजिल है यूपीएससी की, यह हमारा रास्ता है। ऐसी जो भी चीजें हैं हमारी जो हमको डिस्ट्रैक्ट करती हैं, उनको सिंपल लाइफ से हटा दें। इसमें इतना सोचना क्या है? अगर सोशल मीडिया है, अगर आपको डिस्ट्रैक्ट कर रहा है, तो इसमें दूसरों से क्या सलाह लेनी है? इस चीज के लिए हटा दें उसको। अगर रिश्तेदार आपको परेशान कर रहे हैं, ब्लॉक कर दें उनको, नंबर चेंज कर दें। सोशल मीडिया आपको परेशान कर रहा है, अपना अकाउंट डिलीट कर दें। अगर इंस्टाग्राम पे आपको दूसरों के फोटोज देख के डिस्ट्रैक्शन होता है, अनफॉलो कर दे। उसमें इतना सोचना क्या है? उसमें भाई डिस्ट्रैक्शन है, काम खत्म, हटा दो उसको।
Thanks a lot, sir, for this enriching session. We wish you a bright bureaucratic career ahead. Now over to you, Lisa.
थैंक यू। और किसी को कुछ पूछना है तो पूछ सकते हैं, बाकी बढ़िया से पढ़ें, सबका सिलेक्शन हो जाएगा
Lisha, now over
सही
to you.
तरीके से। किसी को बोलना है क्या? अभी
Thank you,
कुछ
sir,
कीजिए।
for this
हाँ।
enriching session. We really learned a lot from your, and we'll really do our best in our UPSC exams. Thank you, sir.
हो गया अभी?
Yes, sir.
चलिए, बड़ा मजा आया आप लोगों से बात करके। अपना जो भी एक्सपीरियंस है वो जेन्युइनली शेयर किया। बहुत सारी
Yes,
कभी
sir.
कभी मेरी लैंग्वेज बहुत हार्श हो जाती है, बट
No,
रियलिटी यही
sir.
है। हमको रियलिटी से नहीं भागना चाहिए। जो भी प्रैग्मेटिक चीजें हैं हमको वो करनी चाहिए। बटरिंग करने से कोई फायदा नहीं होता है कि भाई ऐसा कर लो, वैसा कर लो। रियल चीजें हैं, आप उनको करें तभी सिलेक्शन होगा। इधर उधर भागेंगे तो भाई फिर दिक्कत हो जाती है। जो भी किसी को हो सकता है कि मेरी बात बुरी लगे कि भाई ऐसा बोल रहे हैं, वैसा बोल रहे हैं, उसको भाई इग्नोर कर दें, काम की चीजें रखें। और एकदम क्लियर रास्ता है यूपीएससी का, स्टैंडर्ड चीजें करेंगे, सिलेक्शन हो जाएगा। इधर उधर भागेंगे, सिलेक्शन नहीं होगा, सिंपल। और इसके बाद एक चीज और मैं बोल दूं कि जो यूपीएससी का एग्जाम देने से पहले हमको ये भी समझ लेना चाहिए, और ये बड़ी प्रैक्टिकल और प्रैग्मेटिक बात है, कि सब लोगों का सिलेक्शन नहीं होगा। यहाँ पे इतने सारे लाखों लोग देते हैं, उसमें कुछ ही 100, 200, 300 जितना भी सीटें होती है, उतना ही सिलेक्शन उसमें होना है। तो प्रोबेबिलिटी ये भी है कि आप एग्जाम में फेल हो जाए। तो अगर आपको ये भी ध्यान रखना चाहिए कि अगर आप फेल हो जाते हैं तब आप लाइफ में क्या करेंगे। मतलब आप प्लान बी सोच सकते हैं। मुझे वो लोग ठीक नहीं लगते हैं जो बोलते हैं कि यूपीएससी की तैयारी करते हुए। मैंने ऐसे बहुत सारे लोगों को देखा है जिनके 6-6 अटेम्प्ट, 7-7 अटेम्प्ट हो जाते हैं, उनका सिलेक्शन नहीं होता है, उनके पास फिर फॉल बैक ऑप्शन नहीं होता है कि यार अब क्या करें। तो एक प्लान बी की तरह से कुछ सोच सकते हैं। कोई स्टेट पीसीएस एग्जाम हो, असिस्टेंट कमांडेंट का हो, आरबीआई ग्रेड बी का होता है, तो कुछ सोच सकते हैं। क्योंकि ये रियलिटी है कि यूपीएससी में सबका सिलेक्शन नहीं होगा, और यूपीएससी बहुत अनसर्टेन है। ये चीज अपनी बुद्धि में डाल लें बिल्कुल तैयारी करने से पहले, कि भाई बहुत सारे लोगों का सिलेक्शन नहीं होना है। रियलिटी है। चलिए खत्म करते हैं सेशन।
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
चलिए, ओके, बाय, ऑल द बेस्ट।
Lisha, are you able to unmute yourself?
Yes.
Ma'am is here, Lisha.
Good evening, everyone. I, Lisha Anand, on behalf of Sambhavam Society for UPSC CSE Preparation, feels a great honor in introducing the last speaker of our event, Impetus, Dr. Tanu Jain. Dr. Tanu has aged in all the stages in this journey of becoming what she is in life today. She has cleared her civil services exam in 2015. If you have great determination to achieve something in life, then no matter what, even if there are few low points, you will bounce back and get it. She is currently posted as Assistant Director in the Ministry of Defense. Dr. Tanu Jain holds not only a single occupation, but many. She is a doctor turned civil servant, an amateur poet, educator, speaker, and most importantly, an epitome of perseverance and discipline. Also, you all must have seen her in Drishti IS as an interviewer. It's finally time to invite you, ma'am, to guide us on the topic Excellent Personality Test, Assessment and Selection. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for calling me here to interact with you. It will be a learning experience, I hope, for you also and for me also. So interview is a stage at the last, So before I start, I'll give both the views. Firstly, before thinking anything much about interview, you must focus on prelims and mains, because only if you clear your prelims and mains that you get the opportunity to give interview. So don't be like a person who gets ahead of the wheel. So it's very important that you start your preparation for prelims and mains much ahead of your preparation with interview. On the other side, it's also true that personality cannot be made and improved in a day or a month or maybe 6 months. So it's a gradual journey. So this is why I think our talk will be majorly focused on what you should do right now, as you are in your college, as you are in your preparation stage. So what I think is that firstly, you will have to understand that giving answers is not just about information. It is also about the body language, the tone of your answer, as well as many things. How are your opinions reasoned or not? So I always say we should not, as a civil servants or as aspirants of civil services, we should not talk like any chacha or any uncle or auntie who are in train. So when they say that we like this government or we like this or we don't like this, then they give us some opinions which are not reasoned. But as a civil servant or aspirant of civil services, it is very important that we give reasons for our opinions. So if you think that women should be empowered, then it's a very generic statement that anybody can make. But if you are a serious aspirant, then you must have some reasons why women should be empowered. What will be the benefits to the society, to the individual, to the nation as a whole? So we all know that if women come into the financial or economic empowerment is there, then GDP will grow, national prosperity will grow. If their political voice is increased, then we will have a better nation. More diverse opinions and a better political participation will bring a political depth into our democracy. So so you must have some reasons to whatever opinion you are holding. So this is the first thing. So before you read anything, so current affairs, of course, you must all have been reading newspapers and magazines. So read, that's fine, but not just for information, but for reasons. Reasons also, like whatever your opinion you are making, you must have some arguments backing it. So you are not like any other person who is just throwing a statement for no reason. So this is first. And secondly, grooming, yes, it takes time. So for interview, more than information, sometimes it is about action and reaction thing. So it has happened many times that a person has said the maybe the most appropriate answer, but the reaction was either delayed or the reaction was not appropriate in the expression, in the tone. So we can ultimately find out. So we all are individuals, smart individuals who can make out the in our conversation with others that other person is lying. We all, like you are students there, so in your friend circles also you generally guess it, that this person is not telling the truth, or this person is not exactly having this opinion but is trying to showcase it. So such a judgments we gather as a student, as a general person who converses in the society. So definitely interviewer is also a similar person, so they can also judge you on such things. So it's important that you formulate your reactions appropriately. So if something very sad is asked to you, if you have been asked what laws should be made for the survivors of rape, or something which poverty, if somebody is talking to you about poverty, then you should not have I should say, a smile or a smirk on your face. Because when you are talking about such a serious matter, then it should appear, not just appear, it should actually bring a discomfort to you, because even after such a long independence and such a long period, we are still having such huge poverty and starvation and all these things. Then this should pinch you, and this should also show on your face. And if somebody is asking you about something good in your life, maybe your aspirations, your hobbies, your the vision, then you must of course have that sparkle in your eye, which shows that you are genuinely interested. So definitely a person who is giving an interview is not a robot. So the kind of expressions they give, that reveal a lot in an interview. And this you will have to practice during your college time itself, because this is something you will have to practice and see. Like whenever I suggest people how to improve in interviews, I say either you give question and answers in front of a mirror and see how you respond to questions. Are you able to articulate your answers in a limited time? So you get at max 30 seconds, 45 seconds, at max 1 minute for a question to answer. And if you can't articulate your response in that time, this means that you will not be able to tell your answer to the examiner or the interviewer. So these are some points from my side. I would rather take your questions, because ultimately what your questions are, that matter to me.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for briefing us with so many points and the ways to do it required for clearance in the personality test. Now, I would be raising some of the questions that we have received from the participants at the time of registration. So, ma'am, that we all know that, understand that right from the beginning as an IS officer, it binds into leadership position. So in that environment, how can an introvert person change his or her personality and become an influensive and interactive person?
So introvert doesn't mean that a person doesn't know how to respond or react. It is mainly, it is like a person has not got enough opportunity many times. So generally the training takes care of it. So when you are trained to do a job, this training also includes interaction with many people. So you are taken to many places where you have to interact with people. And definitely the job of a civil servant requires public interaction. And slowly and steadily, I have seen people who might have been introvert at first, but the work required, whenever the work has demanded, they have become as good a communicator or as good a extrovert, I would say, as anybody else. So don't worry about it. Extrovert and introvert are, I would rather say, things which will change when your demand and your work changes.
Thank you, ma'am, for answering in a brief manner. So, ma'am, my next question is, according to your viewpoint, what are the key factors that an interviewer watches till the aspirant is in front of your eyes?
So it's a very difficult question, because a lot of it is very intangible. when you communicate with a person, many times you can't put a finger to it, that whether you like or not like a person, and what are the reasons, because many times instincts also work. So this is one thing. Apart from that, definitely how a person carries herself or himself, how they respond. Ultimately, it all boils down to the fact that it's a conversation where we ask question and the other person has to respond. So what kind of response they are giving? Is it reasoned, or is it just random opinion they have formulated by hearing some information, or the maturity of their opinion? So in matters like which is affecting India as a country, have you ever thought about it? So this is what we try to gauge. So if you are a civil servant, civil services aspirant, and you haven't thought about how to deal with the major issues of India, like poverty, unemployment, maybe the political things, if you haven't, maybe the international relations, if you haven't thought deeply about them, then this means that you have been reading books very theoretically and not imbibing the real essence. Because when you go to field, when you go to your offices, you actually have to apply whatever you have read. So you meet people from vulnerable sections, and then you have to have that sympathy, then you have to have that sensitivity when you are dealing with it. But if you have just read things in a point format, this, then definitely it doesn't, because whatever theoretical knowledge you have, that has already been tested in the mains. In interview, we want to see whether you really feel for it, whether you have really imbibed the essence of whatever topics you have been reading. So I think that is the core of it. So if you understand, if you can respond well, it generally gives a very good impression.
Thank you, ma'am. And ma'am, what is your take on the statement? It is though different from a topic a bit. Like UPSC is not a 100-meter race, but a marathon. What is your take on this statement?
I definitely think it is a marathon, because firstly, it takes a lot of time. For many people, it takes a lot of time. And apart from that, the traits it judges, from prelims to a multiple choice objective questions, to mains where you have to write a subjective paper and you have to have a command on your expression, articulation, writing skills, to interview where your personality is judged on the way you communicate and where you the way you interact with people. So definitely all parts of your mind and personality are judged at various levels. So this is something which a person develops over time. So if a person is good in theory, maybe, then the interview checks it. If a person is just good in communication and not good in expressing what in a written manner, then the mains checks it. And if a person is not having an objective view, then prelims checks it. So it is like a all-round development that is tested in UPSC. So therefore, I generally say that if you really want to be an aspirant, so look over all the aspects simultaneously. You should be objective, you should be having a good writing skills as well as good communication skills, and work on all three simultaneously.
So ma'am, basically it's an all-rounder thing and you have to gain equally in all the sectors, in all.
Definitely.
So my ma'am, next question is, many of the aspirants feel low or have no confidence because of body shaming and stereotypical thinking of the society. So what would you like to advise them for their future?
I always say success silences many. So all the critics get silenced by your success. So firstly, if you yourself are feeling there is some deficiency, maybe you think that you are not serious enough, or you are not sincere enough, you are not having a good focus, or any of the things that you yourself feel you are lacking, then definitely you should try to improve. And the things like body shaming or inferiority complex or any other such things which are externally driven, which are imposed to you by others, I say that you will have to ignore them, because world is never an easy place. for none. It's not that any one person is having to deal with it. Definitely, if a person is dealing with the difficulty of being in this world from others in one aspect, some other person is dealing with it in some other aspect. So definitely challenges are there, and we should not let these things to hinder our success. The moment you will get successful, maybe these things will become your I will say the merits. So I have always seen that relatives tell us about even about me. They tell us and they say, we always knew Tanu will clear this exam, or Tanu, she was such a bright kid. And I know the reality that maybe at that time they were not thinking like this. And so success changes a lot of things for you. So be persistent and gain your, I will say, gain your place in society.
Thank you, ma'am, for answering in such a positive manner. My next question is that as we all know that selection of the ratio of UPSC CSE is very low. And in addition to that, certain positions have too low recruitment or differ. So my questions come here is that should we keep a backup plan or just keep on going with this?
I definitely support a backup plan, because we all know UPSC is definitely a difficult exam, and also many factors. It's not just about hard work. It's not just about many other things. Sometimes things are not to be. That's that because I have seen many deserving candidates also not getting selected. So I myself have kept my backup while giving this exam. So I have done BDS, Bachelor in Dental Surgery, and I worked prior to giving UPSC because I wanted to have a backup, because after devoting 2, 3, 4 years in UPSC, sometimes you come at a point where you don't know where to go. So definitely having a backup is a moral boost and a confidence boost. So if you are always worried that if I don't get selected, what will I do? That burden is huge on shoulders and on mind. So with that kind of disturbance, with that kind of burden, if you study, so it becomes difficult to study and focus. So having a backup relieves you of those worries. So definitely, yes. So even if you are in an industry, you will lack 2, 3 years maybe if you want to go back to your own plan B, but you still have something very tangible to do. And I have seen many students who were very good. They reached up to the mains or interview level. I have some friends who have given interviews for like 3, 4 times and still they couldn't clear. And many of them really became quite frustrated with the whole situation. And definitely it's understandable. After you devote so much effort, years of your life, 4, 5 years are not small. Your youth you are sacrificing. So definitely it's a huge shock, I would say, not to get selected. So at that time, and not because if you don't get selected sometimes and you don't have a backup, then you have to do either you have to settle for something much inferior to your own capabilities. And sometimes I have seen, especially girls, that they get married, they have to, because somehow they have been so bright that they have, like, can you see the difference? That just because they didn't have the plan B, either they would have been an officer or either they just got to be a housewife. So so that there's a huge difference. So it's better to have a plan B.
Thank you, ma'am, for giving such a fruitful answer. Now my next question is, how can one avoid burnout during UPSC CSE preparation, especially like getting the thoughts of incapability, overthinking, mental stress, or getting failure and isolation? How can we handle that?
I would say start thinking yourself as an officer, firstly. Because when you become an officer, you will have to deal with much harder emotional challenges, much harder societal pressures. So definitely, if you are wishing or if you are willing to become an officer, you must start your emotional management, your your own management right now. So I know that it is really burdensome sometimes, and it is really monotonous to keep studying for UPSC for long years and maybe months and hours. So it's a tiresome journey. But if you know how to manage your emotions, so there is a ethics paper, and there is a concept of emotional management. So definitely it's very useful. And I have seen that many people are not lacking any talent or hard work. Many times they are lacking the management of their emotions. So I have seen people who are so worried about their parents and the situation at home, that my parents has invested so much in me, and I'm spending so much money of my parents, my parents are having this problem, or whatever. The situation can be any number, because we can't control the circumstances. So I know that the many people who are into this journey are having their own deep challenges. Sorry. But how you manage them and at last get through your success, that matters. So stop thinking whatever negative or whatever thoughts are coming to you, and just remember that those thoughts will not be useful if you don't get successful. And only thing that will take you through is your managing them. So of course you cannot avoid overthinking. So if a person is in habit of overthinking, they cannot avoid it. So use some techniques. Write whatever you want to think about. Take an hour, sit alone, write whatever you want to write, whatever is concerning you, whatever is disturbing you, write it. And just see, do you have a solution at hand? If you have a solution at hand, then it's fine, do it. If you don't have any solution at mind, then just keep it as a block of your thought, and keep it in a box, so that it doesn't disturb you. Because if it keeps disturbing you, you will not be able to concentrate on your studies. So it's very important to to understand what is important now.
Thank you, ma'am. My next question is, as an interviewer, how will you like a candidate to conclude the meeting after the stress interview? Sorry.
So stress interviews are generally just to check the calmness of a person, if a person is calm in the stressful situations or not. So best thing is if a person is calm. Even I have seen a candidate who didn't answer for like 10 questions in a sequence, but he was not deterred. He didn't let it come on his face that that he's not going through, or all the panic and the stress didn't came onto his face. So definitely that's a very good quality. And if a person can manage stress at this level, definitely they'll be able to manage the stress at the working level, because in work you will also have to manage a lot of stress. This examination stress is, I will say, just the training of all the stress that you will have to take as an officer.
Thank you, ma'am. And now my other question is, what are the criteria for an applicant to get rejection in the personality test?
Rejection. Actually, it's not about rejection. Nobody gets rejected. It's a merit list kind of thing. So it is like, these are the numbers. So this is objectified. So you get higher number, you get a better rank, you get a better score. So it is like that. So definitely, if a person is not appropriate, it feels that to the interviewers that this person is not appropriate for the services, they will just reduce the marks. And definitely there are various things. If a person is lying, then one can definitely see that he's not good for the services. If a person is very selfish, if a person is very appearing to be very corrupt, low on integrity, so definitely these are a very visible markers that they might not be the good candidate for civil services. So definitely we all are here for to work towards our nation building, towards our to making our country into a good place to live for every citizen. So we need people who are dedicated towards this cause, and they are not just coming here for power or money or whatever. If their only motivation, definitely you'll get it. So you are posted to the positions of authority. But if you are just seeking power or if you are just seeking money, then definitely you are not right for the services.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, due to time constraints, I would be concluding with my last question. That what are the most common topics that we should look out for, like the interviewers to ask from us?
Hold on, can you just repeat the question?
Ma'am, I said that what are the most common topics that as an interviewer can ask and we can consider them and prepare it from beforehand?
Not possible to actually boil down to any few subjects, because interview is always a personalistic experience. So when you see a DAF and you see a person, so you instantaneously feel that there are some areas where the questions must be asked to probe the major personality thing in that person. So if a person is a doctor, definitely you will try to know what kind of medical studies has this person done? Was he serious or not? So if a person is a teacher, the kind of questions will definitely differ. It will differ. So your graduation matters, your schooling matters, where you have been from, your district, your state, that matters. So it is like knowing yourself. So the better you know yourself and your surroundings, the better you will be able to handle interview. So I would rather say that there are no questions, but from this stage itself, if you can start knowing yourself, like your district. So does your district, what are the places in your districts which are tourist places? What is the uniqueness of your district? Does your district produce something which is unique? What are the GI tags to your state? Or which are the products which have got GI tags? So these are the things that it is generally considered that as a aware citizen, as a aware student, you must be knowing. So it is just a very customized thing.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Also, ma'am, you gave that example that that certain person who controlled his emotions up to that level. So how do you, like we can control our emotions up to that level, that we are not able to show that we are feeling the pressure or feeling the fear of answering, that we don't know the answer? How to control that?
So there are two things. First is internal confidence. Main problem sometimes we lose confidence or we just panic in a stress situation is that we feel like if not this, we will not be anything. Like we make UPSC such a big thing, we make interview, this examination such a big thing that we feel like our life depends on it. So this thing you will have to overcome, because if you are valuable here, I'm not saying in the sense of just remuneration, but definitely, so we all have a value and we all continuously try to improve our value. So right now I am an officer, I'm a teacher, and I'm still doing my MA in political science. So definitely, what is this? This is my endeavor to know more, to be more, to increase what I can contribute to this, as that you can contribute to the society. Your fear of this exam will go away. So definitely, I'll say that UPSC should be your goal, but it should not define your worth. So there have been people who have not got selected in UPSC and still they have had glorious careers. So first thing is, remember, you are much more than anything else. And secondly, stress generally comes from when we are not able, when we have not thought too much of it. So it is like, if you have not thought that this could happen, then it will be a panic situation. But if you have considered that this can be a situation where you cannot answer 10 questions, or maybe whatever the stress situation may be. So there have been people who have been in a stress situation where they were going to give mains and suddenly something bad happened in family. So it's a stress situation, but Yet people have managed it. They have given exam, they have cleared it, they have made their families proud, they have even managed the things at place. So it is like you will have to gather those capabilities slowly and steadily.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for answering all the questions with immense poise and humility. We all at Sambhavam are deeply touched and feel honored for having you with us in our event. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much. And I really wish that you all work hard and smart and clear this examination. And I'll be happy to see you all as my colleagues and juniors. So definitely. Best
Ma'am,
wishes
can we
to
have
you
a
all.
question? Can we have a picture with you?
Oh, yes, please.
I would request all the participants to switch their cameras.
Yes.
Ma'am, he is requesting the participants to switch on the camera. Thank you so much, ma'am. It's done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye, ma'am.
Best wishes. Best wishes to you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now I would mark the session with a vote of thanks. Good evening, everyone. Thank you on behalf of Sambhavam Society for UPSC CSE preparation for making this event successful. I would like to extend my gratitude to all the speakers. Thank you to all the speakers for making this session immensely useful, informative, and also for felicitating us with proper guidance for our preparation and future journey as a civil aspirant. I also thank our college principal, Professor Rabi Narayankar sir, who is always there to help us and motivate us in organizing such events. I also must thank our convener, Dr. Bharat Bhushan sir, who constantly guides us in every decision and direction. I also thank Dr. Kusha Tiwari ma'am, the convener of IQAC, for supporting us. In organizing any college event, there are people who work silently behind the curtains. We are also thankful to the technical and administrative department who are always ready to help. Thank you so much, sir. I would also like to thank Team Sambhavam for organizing and handling the event in such a smooth manner. I would also like to thank a one and only person who has given a huge contribution, Mr. Akash Sharma, for helping us and most importantly, guiding us and taking care of all the things. I thank each and every member for giving their full effort and contribution in the event. Lastly, but definitely not the least, I must thank our audience who took such active participation in the session, put very inquisitive questions. Without you, dear my audience, this event could never be a success. Thank you so much, everyone.
Well said, Lisha. Thank you so much. I must also thank Team Sambhavam, who made so much efforts and pulled the event so meticulously, so well organized. I must also thank the audience, who was very patient and was very inquisitive also. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Sir is here.
लीव कर दूं मैं?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Parul, can you ask Gaurav sir to end the meeting? Parul, can you hear me? Yes, guys, we can talk. मैंने recording pause कर दी.
I don't think so. We can talk.
Participants, guys, can you leave, please, so that we can have a team session. बस यार YouTube पे लाइव तो नहीं हो रहा, ये नहीं पता.
There's
चेक करेगा कोई YouTube पे?
live on you हाँ मैं एक दूसरे थे. एक मिनट मैं देखती हूँ.
I think पता नहीं चल रहा है, मैंने stop कर दिया है.
गाइस मैं एक एक को गिन गिन के हटा दूं.
क्या हो रहा है? Seriously?
Yeah, this is live on YouTube.
Contact to Gaurav sir na. We will stop.
Parul है meeting में?
Guys, we need to stop the live.
No, Parul is not in the meeting.
Call.
I guess. Call. Parul is calling me. Wait.
Actually, Parul was unable to mute herself because she is not a co-host.
Tell her that contact Gaurav sir to stop.
Yeah, yeah, I told her. She is calling me.
For this knowledgeable session.